All right. There. Let's see if we can't get this going. Let me make sure this is right. Yes, that's right. Chat is set up. Let's flip it to live so I can see all incoming messages. We'll move the mic here in a second. Let's get our first stuff set up. So there's that. And let's get these going. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do, and then there. That should start us off. And let me check, make sure we got it. Yes. Hey, what's going on? Move the mic here, move that. Hey, what's going on? Pretty good. Lots been happening. Lots been happening. I got a decent amount of editing done and whatnot. We're towards the end of February in terms of catching up with the chapters. I started adding things to the chapters, so if we discuss something in the chapter, I might come in and do like an editing add-on or something like that. And overall, it has been a lot, aside from doing overtime and going in to get my tooth worked on and whatnot. And then I lost my car, so got a new car. Nothing terrible happened. That car has been a bad experience in general. So I had a car. It was a 2018 EcoSport. I see these EcoSports on the street everywhere. I drive by them 100 times a day. See them all over the place. Their cars cannot be like mine, because my car was bad. It was a bad car. Put this into perspective. I had a 2018 EcoSport. Okay? And get this. You ready? I had 3 engines. It's not a joke. About every 3 or 2.5 years, there's a problem with that car that something would happen and it would blow out my engine. And then I would have to take it. Luckily, I had a powertrain warranty, and then they would replace that engine for free, but I'd be without a car for a couple of months, and then I'd go get the car back, and just over and over and over. There's no reason my car should have been on its 3rd engine. Like, it was just, that thing was a nightmare. I mean, it was a real problem. So I got out of that, which now changes my budget and changes all of my stuff, because now my insurance is going to change and my car payment is going to change. Just life in general, you understand. So there's been a lot going on these last couple weeks. That has not shown up, and I don't expect it to show up today. I was hoping he would, because then, of course, we were definitely going to talk about him, because that guy looks like he's going to be awesome. Okay? Like, he just does. I'm very excited. There are things in the toy world that seem like we're in for some good stuff. Like, look, we got SDCC coming. There's going to be major reveals. We already just got from G.I. Joe that we're going to get a new Laura. Not this one, of course, but oh man, if those renders hold up, and that's what she ends up looking like, fantastic. I want 2 of them. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm dead serious. I want 2 of them. Not 1, 2. Because I want 1 to keep in the box just in case something ever happens to the one that I have, because she looks phenomenal. That being said, we recently just got a G.I. Joe, And I was kind of looking forward to her because she looked just very different and unique. And from the renders, I said, okay, yeah, I'm in for this. This looks great. And then the figure didn't look that great. Like, looks like a different person. Like the face, like they changed what they were going to do with the face. I'm not going to sit here and call her ugly or anything like that. I think that's mean, and I think all different people look different ways, so there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But when you set me up for expectation, and then you give us something else entirely, that's a problem. I do think that's a problem, because we buy so exclusively online now that I personally feel like if you're going to show us something, even a render, it needs to be real to the expectations. Like, I'm glad they didn't just keep those renders up and then sell the figure, like they did actual pictures of that figure before they put it up for pre-order. But it still doesn't change how I feel about it. The first stuff that you showed me, this is expected, this is what we're going to do, this is what our computer stuff says, this is the render. After everything is in real, this is what it should look like. Maybe the colors will differ a little bit. But, like, it doesn't look like the same figure. And this is not the first time we've had this happen. It's happening quite often now. And then sometimes with, like, the closed boxes, we were having issues with a render was what was on the front of the box, and then you would open it and the figure on the inside was not that. Like, they would claim that it was pinless by the pictures that you saw, and then you would go buy the figure and find out that it had pins. And, like, there needs to be a lot more transparent honesty in the space now, or they're going to start losing a lot of sales, because we rely on those pictures more than we ever did before. I really believe that. And I think it's an easy way to put people off of buying if the pictures are not showing an accurate representation of what we're going to be buying, because most of us are going to be buying it online. Also, there's a new Wonder Woman on the market. I went out hoping I could find it. I checked every Walmart in my area, nothing. But I see other people have got theirs in their Walmarts, and people are posting up the barcodes and stuff like that. And then I went on Walmart and I tried to see if maybe I could just, like, order one to be brought to me, and I couldn't find a link. And I searched Walmart and I typed in Wonder Woman and McFarlane and everything I could think of, and I can't find it. It's not seeming to appear on Amazon or anything like that. However, we're going to say it. Is it possible? Is it possible, and yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about, that this is already being bought up by the dozens? Because I am finding it on eBay already. So the resale is already happening, which, of course, we expected it, right? Okay. But that scares me a little bit, because I have been noticing that most of the Walmarts I have gone to, they usually have a set of figures there, and they're very specific. This time, all 5 of my Walmarts were either stripped bare and had absolutely nothing on the shelf McFarlane, or 2 only had like 1 or 2 figures, and they were the ones that, like, have sat there forever. Did they get a shipment of Hawk Girls, Poison Ivies, and Wonder Womans, and they've all been bought, and now we're going to start seeing them on the resale market? I don't know. I'm making, like, speculation at this point, because I have no honest, like, I don't know. I have no information. It worries me a little bit, because the other Wonder Woman sold out and was just gone. This one shadow dropped. I'm seeing pictures of people that are finding them. Now I'm seeing them on eBay, and my Walmarts are barren. So I have to ask, Did I miss out on another Wonder Woman? I don't know yet. It's still early. It's possible that my Walmarts are in a restock. It's possible that my stuff, maybe I'm seeing pictures from the coast and it's not really come our way yet, and I got to wait a couple weeks. I don't know. But it does concern me a little bit. I'm not calling out yet and being like, oh, they screwed us. But it does worry me the littlest bit. How limited is the release? What is my chance of actually coming across it? And is it already experiencing massive resale buy up? I don't know. I don't have any of these answers. But when I'm seeing people find them and I'm not finding them at all, and the history of this line and many other toy lines lately leads me to be the littlest bit worried, just being honest about what the possibility is. I think they're being sent in limited quantities to some of the retailers. That's my theory, though I may be wrong. Right. You got Mephisto yesterday. Let's say the house got a bit more spooky. Awesome. He will make your game. Oh man, it's fantastic. Games. Oh my god. If we had Fandom Night still, if Fandom Night was still a thing, okay, people would be very mad. Because sometimes Bill makes predictions. And sometimes the chat argues with Bill. And I get it. But sometimes the predictions that Bill makes come full around, and boy, are people mad right now. Did you see the new pics? We got another look at Storm Arena, Armika, and Killer Bee Cammy. Storm Arena though, so not oh no, Storm Arena. Oh yeah. Hold on. No, I didn't. Let me check. If that's what it is, I'm looking at something right now. And if that's what it is, that's pretty good. I see the Street Fighter 03 Cammy 112th Storm Arena. She's still in grayscale and everything. She looks fantastic. And then Storm Collectibles, of course, put out a Cammy for Street Fighter, but I'm not interested in that. The scale is different to what I've been collecting, so we're not really going to mess with that. As far as I'm aware, Storm Arena currently has a Ryu, a Kin, Sagat, Dan, Chun-Li, Charlie, Akuma. Did they do Bolrog? My mind is telling me they did Bolrog. And then we have Cammy coming. Armika, I think, is one of those things that we have coming. I thought there was something else. Let me click on this picture and see if I can. That's pretty much everybody that I named. But I feel like I'm forgetting something. I feel like there was something else. Can't remember. Oh well. That's still in production. And Zangief. Oh, I didn't realize. Oh, okay. Storm Arena Zangief. Okay. Move that. Let's see. There it is. So we have All right, that works. No, that's a start. So let's get this then. There. Let's do. What are you? Oh. Oh. There. Let's get those out, and I will go down here to storage. This box is getting kind of empty now. Just about to the point of pulling up the next one. Come on, give me something. What do I got here? Oh, I think I got like a foot here. Okay. Oh! Cool. There we go. That's from storage. Playmates. This is Leonardo. I do remember that specifically. I bought only one of them, and I bought the Leonardo. He had the swords and everything like that. I thought that this was really cool back when it came out. It was from Playmates, but there are many things about it now that do not necessarily appeal to me. I liked that he was rough. I liked that he had the red bandana. I remember I liked, for the most part, his movement and stuff like that at the time. But, like, I would not buy this again. Now, they've pretty much reused this mold, and they've done all kinds of things, like where they've done them in black and white, and that's really cool. And they've done like a 4 set of these, and they've, like, that's neat. But I actually have come over time to not like this. You get something and it's really cool. And that's the thing about collecting. You never know exactly how time is going to treat those things. This is one of those things that wound up coming off the shelf at one point, and it's not going back up. So here's the problems that I have with it. It is Playmates. So the problems that I'm talking about, I don't necessarily expect to be fixed. And now I definitely don't, because they're not going to have the property anyway. But later, after it sat on the shelf for a while, I started noticing things like there's no wrist articulation at all. None. It does this, and it does this. And it does all the way around, and it kind of does a T-pose. I mean, that's the best you're going to get. The head is fine, but, like, it doesn't look up. It does look down. I mean, it turns, but, like, you really got to force it. And that seems weird with the kind of figure that this is. Its legs are very weird. They're on, like, this rotating thing here, this, like, rotating pivot thing. So, like, and then the knee is, there's no articulation at the foot. There's no ankle rotation or anything like that. Like, I found it very limited. And it was one of those things that over time started to bug me. Now, when I grew up, toys were toys. That's what they were. And this would have been more than acceptable. Without having nostalgia attached to this, because I don't. I thought this was cool. I thought it was cool to have, like, a Mirage Studios, like, Ninja Turtle, and then he had the red bandana and things like that. I thought that was really cool back when I got him. It didn't sit with me all that long before I was, like, not liking the way that he moved and not liking the overall design. They were cheap. So I'm not going to hold too much against it. Realistically, if you like turtles and you want to put one on your shelf, I think you could still find these things at like $10 a piece. I think you could still find the 4-pack at $40 or $50 or $60. They're not that hard to get your hands on. You can get the black and white variants. You can get the ones that kind of look like this. They come with the weapons, they're red bandanas. But there's so many better choices out there now for Mirage Studio figures. Not at the price point that these guys would be at, but there's better choices. That, in general, puts this guy in a place where he is not surviving the test of time. I bought him. He was a neat gimmick. He was a buy because he was a turtle and there was a cool idea behind it. But without nostalgia attached to him, he is one of those items that hits my rule. Everything here has a purpose, a reason, a story. And if it doesn't, once I discover that the story is dead or the feeling is gone, it's gotta go. I curate the collection all the time. Bye, Leo. He'll go on the toy table. Maybe somebody will give me $3 for him. We'll see. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we have Magic and Daredevil. Both of those are great choices, though, to be fair. Because, yeah, both of those are great choices. First off, that Daredevil looks like he's fantastic. And it's always cool to have a Magic on the shelf. So you know what? Because we're early in the show, waiting for things to happen anyway. Yeah, I know it's only been 5 minutes. But let's do them. Let's do them. Magic. At what point... Because I know Magic, right? All right? I get it. That's who it is. New Mutants, Magic, old costume. This is before the costume that I would consider to be her classic. The black costume I would consider to be her classic. That's the way that I would personally feel about it. At what point do we consider this Ileana? You get my question here? So, like, because I feel like this is young enough and early enough in her design, and the old costume and things like that, that we could easily just consider this the younger version at this point. It doesn't matter. Like, what I'm saying really doesn't matter. But it does bring up an interesting question. We always sell Cyclops as Cyclops and Wolverine as Wolverine. Is there some reason, and maybe it's name recognition, but I've always been curious about this. Is there some reason that when you sell a street clothes Wolverine, you still sell it with the tag saying Wolverine? Is there a reason that we never sell him as Logan? Because when I was growing up, you would see things like this. Take things like superpowers and things of that nature. If you got something in that line that was, say, a Clark Kent, or any other line for that matter, and they sold a Clark Kent, they would sell a Clark Kent. They wouldn't sell a Superman. He was Clark Kent. And then they would sell a Superman. You would get a Bruce Wayne action figure and a Batman action figure. Is there some reason we don't do that now? Is it just a confusion thing? Hey, we don't want to complicate things? If so, I completely get it. But it's always been curious to me because when I was growing up, you would see Wolverine packaged as Weapon X, as Logan, as Wolverine. And then sometimes different variants of Wolverine where they would call it certain things. They would be like, X-Force Wolverine or whatever. And then they would sell it in that way. And now it seems like this is Marvel's Magic. But then the last one that was released was also Magic. Right? And then I'm thinking about like the She-Hulk. They released a a red She-Hulk and they called it Red She-Hulk. And they released a green and gray She-Hulk, and both of them were just called She-Hulk. And then they released a more classic She-Hulk, and she was just named She-Hulk. And then they released a Fantastic Four She-Hulk, and she was just She-Hulk. You get my question why the packaging never goes out of its way to explain at what point in the story we are at? How come this isn't New Mutants magic? If we're trying to get people to love these properties and say you're a toy collector and you've always kind of had interest in things like this, like getting into comics or something like this, this won't help you track down what this is. Like, say you're interested, you think she's just really cool, you're buying figures, you come across her, you're like, who is this? The back of it gives you a very, very small level of detail. We're talking small level of detail. In his quest to understand humanity, the mighty Beyonder draws forth the demonic essence of mutant sorceress magic, revealing the dark child within her. What's that mean? I mean, if you've read it, you know. What's that mean? What's that mean for anybody that wants to get into Marvel? It doesn't tell you at what point this is. It doesn't really tell you what storyline this is referencing. It doesn't have it on the back to say, hey, by the way, if you have... Because people talk about selling comic books with characters, and I think that's really where my mind is going with this. I've argued that selling a comic book with a character doesn't help anybody. Because realistically, you only get one part of the story and you can't really track down all that much, and it's really hard to get single issues, especially if you're trying to collect an entire wave, and then it's basically, it's such a pain that most people won't even go through with it. So, we're living in a different age now, where there are things basically like Netflix for comic books. There's a Marvel service for something like that. Do I like to turn the page? Of course. I buy the omnibus and stuff like that. But I will not deny the convenience. And realistically, if they were just to put it on the back here as a form of advertisement that goes along with Marvel, that maybe if you were advertising for Marvel just a little bit in that aspect, maybe it would also help to pull the price of the figures down, because maybe that could be brought into the licensing agreement. Hey, when you do figures, we want you to reference a book or something like that on the back. That'll take off $1 or something like that per figure, per sale, per wake, or whatever that comes across. Like, I'm just saying there could have been something worked out where on the back it says, if interested, Marvel Unlimited issue, blah, 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 starts this look, or something like that. And then you could go, oh, really? And you could get on the tablet or whatever and be like, oh, and go to that and read it and maybe discover a character that you've never known. I don't necessarily agree with packaging in comic books. And I don't love that comic books are going digital, but let's also be honest about the situation where we are now. Let's just be honest about it. A lot of people are reading books on tablets. A lot of people are doing audiobooks. A lot of people are reading things on their phone. And a lot of people, especially in terms of like people that read manga and whatnot, just read online. And let's be honest, if you've ever talked with comic book store owners, they will tell you that a good portion of their fan base has just went to start reading online. So we are moving in that direction, like it or not. Why not lean into it the littlest bit, or do things like, hey, by the way, you bought this figure, here's 2 free comics from Unlimited or whatever, and you can read them, and then maybe if you wanted, you could get a subscription or something. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird for me to be like, I'd like them to advertise. But like, in a way, I would. Because I know how that sounds. You don't want to be sold to like that. You don't want all that crap all the time. However, the thing that we love, superheroes, comic books in general, that industry, even with all, like, they're doing all the Marvel movies, but they're not doing anything that actually pulls people into comics. And I have 2, that's it. But I have 2 comic book store owners that I talk to on the regular that will tell you that their business has changed over time due to the way the market has changed. And while the movies increased and got money and everybody started going to movies, there was nothing in those movies that drew people to the comics. And then if they did go to the comics, they found out that it wasn't what they were going to watch because the movies, they changed just enough that it doesn't feel right. Like if you're watching Spider-Man in Marvel and that's what you like, and that's like the character that's really spoken to you and you really like it, and then you go into Spider-Man comics, that is not the same guy. It is not the same character. It's not the same look. It's not the same attitude. It is different. I'm not talking about starting from the beginning. The average consumer will buy this, if it was a Spider-Man, and then go, dude, I love Spider-Man. I've been watching him in the movies. I just got a figure. I'd love to check out the comics. You got big surprises coming. Because, nope. These are not the same things. Not the way that you would hope they were. There needs to be a little more emphasis to drive people into comics if we want these characters to continue, though. So they need to really double back their merchandise in a way that would lead back to the primary thing that created the industry, comic books. If you want these figures to lead back into comic books, the easiest way to do it would be to at least tell me, oh, by the way, this character started in this issue, blah, 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 and you could either stream it or you could try to hunt for that issue. But there's nothing that leads you in that direction nowadays. There's just, by the way, comics exist. Like, they're out there. Like, they might say, like, characters based on Marvel Comics, and then that's it. That's it. And most people, that's not enough to get them to go see what that was about. It's just interesting to me. And it always has been. Because I've often wondered if comic books die out, what happens to all these characters? Like if there's nothing leading back, we've got a bunch of new fans, but the new fans are movie-oriented, series-oriented. If the comic books die out, what happens? Do they just become TV shows and movies? I mean, there's plenty of material you could go find at any point. Like, it's out there. But what do we do moving forward? I don't know. For some reason, I was really thinking about that when I took her out of the Big Bad, because I got the Big Bad toy store box, and I took her out, and I was sitting there looking at her, and I was like, I mean, I know it's magic, but I remember toys used to this, and then it kind of led me down that rabbit hole, and I felt like I definitely wanted to talk about it, so now I have. We can open her now. Question. Real question. Asking a real question. Is it interesting that nobody gives a crap about these? Do you know why I'm asking that? These toys are built specifically to honor an old set of figures that we had years ago. That's why they come with these. Because the old figures came with these dumb shield things. So they sell these. And every single person that has one of these, and I'm not saying they're wrong, I'm agreeing with them right now in real time, go, this thing is dumb. Now, arguably, had they put this inside of a little thing that would have clipped and then the top would have been like a see-through plastic or whatever, so the little thing still had its effect, and then it had like a little peg, so this was the character stand, could you argue that that would have been really cool? And I personally would argue that would be really cool. I would have been okay with that. That would have been neat. But like this thing, nobody likes this thing, nobody wants this thing. Like nobody. But the reason I bring it up is it interesting that while we have no nostalgia for this dumb thing, we'll buy a Ninja Turtle from like Super 7 or something, and it'll come with the old weapons rack, and we'll go, oh man, that's cool. Or it'll come with the crappy head for the Shredder where the eyebrows are drawn onto the mask, and we go, oh dude, I had that. I remember that. Is that interesting? It's interesting how nostalgia both works and then doesn't work. Because anybody that grew up that had like the brown suit Wolverine or whatever from this toy line and then literally had this little shield, like, does that do nothing for anybody that grew up with that toy line that sees these little things and is like, yeah, I remember I had all of these, but like I lost all of them because like I was a kid or yada yada. I never see that argument with this line of figures. It's always they open it up and they see the shield thing and they go, and then this stupid thing. And I get it, because I do the exact same thing. I literally took this out of the box and looked at it and went, neat. And that is the end of it. I have 2 of these on my wall in here, because like there was an area where like an old screw had been screwed into the wall or whatever, and it kind of left a hole there. So I have Captain America and Black Suit Spider-Man pushed into those holes. So they're in here, but I don't actually care about them. I just thought it was a neat way to cover up the hole, and that's it. Otherwise, this is like nobody cares about it. And nobody was asking for it, but nobody was asking for like a classic stupid toy rack or whatever either. And yet we all went, oh, that's really neat. Interesting what we will find nostalgic and what we won't. When a G.I. Joe releases on a card back and they come with that old G.I. Joe stand, I go, oh, that's cool. It's just a little black triangle. Who cares? But for some reason, I do. I see it and I go, oh man, I remember when all the G.I. Joes used to come with these little stands. But nobody wants these. Whatever. We have cool gauntlet arm expression hand. We have punchy hand. We have the sword. And we have a wrap effect for that sword, which is actually very, very cool. But loose, in case that matters to anybody, as you could tell. Like, maybe you could, I don't know, but the further down you push it, the more, I wouldn't say it becomes stable. And realistically, I don't think you want to push it down too much, because you want the effect to like work. So you want it to wrap all the way up the blade and everything. So you don't want to mess with this too much. This is cool, but if you're going to put it on your shelf, be aware of that. This thing falls right off. And it will probably fall off and then fall on the floor. And if you have like an apartment or whatever that uses carpet, you may lose it. Otherwise, here she is. Here's Ileana. Here's Magic. Let's get me out of the frame here. Let's focus on her. There we go. Very, very good face. I do not believe this to be a reuse of the last face. It does seem a little younger to me. It does not seem like the same face that was on Magic. Oh, it is not. I just looked over there. It is not. I think I can reach her. Hold on. Yeah, it's different. This face is it's a little bigger. It's an older style. It puffs up the cheeks the littlest bit. It adds a little age to the character. This keeps her young. She's slimmer. Like, I do like that. There is a difference. There's a noticeable difference, and I really do enjoy that. Otherwise, we don't have the full crazy new female body, but the one that they're using has that ball joint at the lower torso, and it doesn't give us all the movement in the world. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. I thought for sure that I just moved it. No. Well, now I'm sad-faced. I thought that I'd moved it, but the upper torso moved in a way that tricked my eyes and made me feel like the lower torso had moved. This is a solid piece all the way down again. So once again, we got Ileana not on the new body. Am I mad about it? I'm not mad, Marvel. I'm disappointed. No, but like, look, there is a little bit of disappointment in this for me. And here's why. I'm going to tell you why. This is a real argument. Had they went out of their way to make sure that she was on the 100% new body, if nothing else, she needed the ball joint down here, like the Jean Grey got, like the Marvel Girl got, or she needed to be on the whole new, brand new, super articulated body. Why? Because this design, once they have this body in place, they could do first class. With mild paint scheme and a couple of adjustments, we could have got Marvel Girl. We could have got a first class of X-Men. We could have got an Angel with the new Angel wings in a first class. We could have got Cyclops. That wouldn't have been that tough. And we could have gotten a Marvel Girl built kind of on this body and whatnot. We could have got like a first class all new X-Men or something to that extent. That would have been really, really cool. And all of them would have come out on the brand new higher articulation bodies. And I just feel like this was your moment to justify the making so that then we could reuse the bodies and get everything out there. And I know it wouldn't be 100%, but I'm just saying this is where you get closest to it, and they didn't do it. I'm not mad about it. I think the face is really good. The hair is mostly getting out of its way as well. I am impressed with that because for the longest time, Marvel Legends has had this thing where they release figures and the females, their hair is like so rigid that they can't move. And that drives me crazy. She will have a bit of that problem. She will not be able to take certain poses. She's never doing sit-ups. She's never leaning down to pick something up in very specific ways or anything like that. We have issues like that because she didn't get the newer body. She will work for what she's meant to be. She will take poses pretty well, but she will pose no better than the last one that they released. Was she worth it? For who she is, yes. That's it. This does bring me a problem, though. I passed on the Kitty Pryde Colossus 2-pack. Because the Kitty Pryde that I have, I like, and I didn't feel like they did an overhaul full upgrade to the Kitty Pryde to give me anything that I wanted. And I'm very happy with my Colossus. So I didn't really need another Colossus from a costume design that didn't speak as classic to me as the other Colossus. I very much like the Colossus that I have. It's the one that I picture in my head. If you said, draw Colossus from memory, I'm picking the one from the Juggernaut 2-pack. That's where my mind instinctively goes. So I didn't have any reason to upgrade. Having young Ileana magic puts me in a space where I kind of would love to see her with Kitty Pryde. Because at the time that I knew these characters, in terms of I've known them in all different eras and all different times, depending on what I was reading and how I was reading it, but I remember they were best friends, and I loved that. I loved how they would hang out and talk, and like there was just like this genuineness to like how they were like friends, and I kind of miss that. And since my mind's eye kind of takes those and kind of puts them in that feeling, like I like that idea. Now, there's been nothing wrong with this magic because this magic is still friends with Kitty. And it works, and I've had no problem having it on my shelf like that. But kind of like having a younger Kitty Pryde and a younger Ileana and having them hang out, both of them kind of being in this costume, it feels right. It feels like that would be really cool. But I don't want to pay for that 2-pack to do it. And the one that I have currently, Kitty Pryde, is older. So then it would look weird because it doesn't look like the kind of thing that I'm trying to pull off necessarily. So does she provide a problem collection-wise for the shelf? No. Like, she adds a mild level of FOMO, but not one that I can't ignore. It's just an idea that pops in my head that, like, having her makes me feel like it would be really cool to have her and Kitty together. And who knows, maybe someday if I find it on, like, sale or some situation, maybe I'll end up with that. But I'm not going to go out of my way to spend, like, $60 or whatever to accomplish that. The characters, there's a memory up here that sits with me, but not one that causes that kind of must on the shelf. I have one flaw on my figure. I have a scuff mark right here. It is a paint scuff. Had I seen this in a store and been able to pick the one I wanted, she would not have been the one I picked off the shelf. But overall, I'm not complaining. I think she's cool. She'll do her part. And I think it's going to be cool to have her with the sword and everything, which is the second time we've gotten the sword, which is the reason it confuses me because, see, on this sword, I have not had the same problems that I'm having with this, and you imagine this would have been the same thing released again, but yet, like I can do this. That'll, oh, no, hold on. Come on. See, but that doesn't feel... I don't know what it is. It feels like this should be the same sword. I don't think it is. I think it's very, very similar, but I'm wondering if they changed... No, they didn't change it. They didn't change the hilt. I don't understand. For some reason, this sword is not holding the effect the way I would like. And when I push it down past the hilt here, it stays. But then it's real big down here, and it doesn't feel like it's right. Maybe if I put her hand there, it makes all the difference. Whatever. I have it. I'm not gonna sit here and worry about it or anything like that. It is cool. I have no regret in terms of having her, but those are my current thoughts on the fact that I do have her now. Let's see. Did you see Supergirl? And if you did, what's your general thoughts on the plot presentation of the movie? I have not. I actually did not even realize that it had released. It's just, it's been that kind of week. Like, it didn't even dawn on me that it was already out. I do want to see it though. I loved that last Superman, and if this maintains any of that momentum, then it will give me a lot of hope for what we're about to go do with all the DC stuff. That reminds me, Star Wars Phantom Menace toy line back in the day did something similar. They came with these chips that made them talk, but you could stand them on them and they had their faces on it. I do remember those. I do, yeah. I do remember those. I don't think we'll get new First Class X-Men until that new X-Men 97 Beast comes out, and then they'll reuse that body for human-looking Beast, which is possible. Which is possible. I think that does make a certain kind of sense. I think you're right. We could very much see major reuse from that body for a human Beast. But then if they do that, what are we going to see for the rest of the team? Like, the males we don't have to worry about. But the females of the line, like I said, are we going to get a... Are they going to do exactly what I said and basically just reuse that, which is not an updated body, and release a Marvel girl? And then if so, what would be the point of buying her if you already had the all-new X-Men figures? Like, it's not updated all that much. I don't know. Daredevil. Secret Wars Daredevil. The first red Daredevil I have ever owned. I've never had one. Strangely enough, I have had Daredevil from the Netflix series. I have had Yellow Daredevil. I had a black suit Daredevil at some point. I don't know whatever happened to it. Like, I really don't. I think one of the times that I moved, it got lost, and I've never come across it again, and I have no idea whatever happened to it. But I've never had what you would consider a classic Daredevil. Every time they've released him, it has been from a different line that I didn't figure would give me the scale I wanted, or it has felt overpriced, or they have added stupid things like basically paywalls, where you need to buy like basically him and like 3 other characters or something like that in order to get him, or they have locked him in little simpler paywalls, like he came with a Hydro Man once, but why did I skip on that one? Well, we've talked about this before. Hydro Man would have been neat. That Daredevil, if this is what I'm remembering, they cell shaded it. I hate that. I hate it. I don't want it on my action figures at all. I don't want it. If you are doing a stylized thing, I could still argue I don't want it. You can't see them up there anymore because I switched the positions. But on the far over there, there's a set of Ninja Turtles. And they're gray. They're like a black and white sepia type of thing or whatever. And the only thing that's colored on them is their bandanas. That's really cool to me. But they didn't add a bunch of cell shade shadows. I don't like the whole cell shading thing, because if I want to take pictures of them or pose them, I want to do that. And I don't want you to dictate the poses that I can do because you made the decision how they were going to pose because you chose how the light's going to hit them forever. See, I live in this 3D space where we all live. And if I need shadows to be on this figure, I will turn her and let the shadows affect her in real time. Like, you see how that's right there? You see how that shadow is right there? But then I'll turn, see? And the shadow will change. So that now we light her face slightly differently, where one side's a little darker than the other, but then we'll turn her a little bit and angle her down a little bit, and we get those slightly different shadows. You see how light works? Like, it drives me crazy, because I feel like that paint scheme in particular massively, massively limits what you can do with the figure. And I have always felt that way. So I passed on that Daredevil too. And I kept saying to myself, it's fine. They will eventually release a Daredevil. Like, he's too big of a character. He's going to come out again. Just wait. Here he is. I don't have anything realistic to compare him to because of that. So this Daredevil I have trouble believing I'm going to find any problems with him, is what I'm really trying to say. Because I don't know what I would sit here and complain about as compared to other figures or other Daredevils that have released, because this is the only one I have. But I got him. Let's open him. So, let me go back to an old comment that I've received on a video before. When somebody asked me how many figures I've ever had that have been, like, broken because they didn't have all those little twisty tie things. You know, those stupid little tabs that I have to cut off of McFarlane figures and things like that. The 40-something stupid little bands. Well, my record remains completely untarnished, as this time there were no bands at all in a Marvel Legends figure, which is regular. And he's fine. It's almost like all those stupid little bands are just a pain in the butt and need to go the dinosaur. They don't serve a purpose other than to irritate Bill. That's why they put them in the packages, specifically. Here's this again. It becomes Daredevil. It does, however, do one thing that one could consider a negative. Because it does that, it shows us a Matt Murdock face. There's no Matt Murdock face. We didn't get a Matt Murdock face. So, figure's trash. Let's move on. Like, we got a punching hand. We have an expression hand. And we have two gripping hands. Not two punching hands, not two expression hands. A punch and an expression, and two gripping hands. Is that a negative? I'm sure I can find red hands. For me, it's not a bad thing. But then it brings up the argument that we've had in some other videos where we've talked about what is the way to do this? Should every figure be treated as if it's somebody's first figure? Maybe there's something to be said for that. But if they also overloaded every single figure with the amount of hands and things that you would need, you would very much get to a point where only but like 5 or 6 figures in, you would have so many hands that you wouldn't know what to do with them. And we're already at that point, most of us in the collecting circles anyway, where I have totes of hands. So it doesn't bother me, but it is something to mention for anybody that's like getting into this hobby or something like that. What is the right way to go about it? This guy will only ever be able to punch you with one of his hands. His other hand will always be doing this. Or he'll be holding the clubs. So he can't punch left-handed or whatever. Like, I mean, okay. Or rather, he can only punch left-handed. This guy's not open for business. But this guy here, yep. Interesting. Interesting choice. Is he left-handed? Is he a left-handed fighter? Is that something I don't know? I feel like he's a right-handed fighter. Maybe he's not. That's interesting. Now I wonder if I should look that up. That is the left hand, right? Yeah. That's his left hand. That's a punching hand only on the left. So he can only punch you with his left hand. It just makes me wonder, was that a choice that was made for a reason? Okay. We have this right here so that Daredevil can use psychic powers and he can like mess with people's minds. So that's why they gave him the expression hand, see? Because he can actually put his expression hand up here to his head and then he can deal with Xavier while Xavier's using. I know what the effect is, okay? I just feel like while it's neat to see them try something, this feels goofy. I get it. I do applaud the fact that they were like, well, what's Daredevil? What's he got? What's he do? Oh, he's got that super senses and yada yada. Okay, let's do this. That's kind of right? Because he's like sensing things. Sure, but like all I want to do with this is just go plug it into my Xavier down there. That's all I want to do with this. The spider sense they released on the Maximum Spider-Man. That's cool, and I think it should come with a lot more Spider-Man figures. I think it works. I think it's really cool. This, I feel like, could be a one and done. This doesn't... Can he... No, it's also too big to go on his foot because it goes in his back. You got a hole in your back? No. You got a hole in your back? Come here, Spider-Man. Oh, no way. Oh. Does that? No. It doesn't even really work for Spider-Man. It feels too... This thing, personally, this thing is dumb. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It feels dumb. Up, up, up. Yeah, there we go. This was a better effect. But this also wouldn't make sense for Daredevil. So, like, I like that they tried something new. I don't feel like it worked. That's what I got on this one. The Billy Clubs, this is actually cool. I actually really do like this. There, we can pull these apart now. And it's always been that we had this little tab here, but you could pull this out now, which is cool. So when you pull this tab, it's very tiny. Be very careful. Now, when you put the clubs in his side deal here, in the little pouch thing, the clubs will just go in there, and you won't always have one that's like sticking up a little too far or be like awkward. And if he's holding both of them, you won't have the one that just has the weird random peg. But if you were going to go out of your way to do this, okay, you did the clubs. You gave us this. Keep this. Because I don't feel that it works. I know what you were going for. Personally, I don't feel that it works. Keep this. Give me the string attachment for these. You just did it with the movie Daredevil. And it's pretty cool. Why not give us that? Why not give us a rope effect that ties into both of these? And then he could have the rope, and he could have the clubs, and he could have them without the little tab, and he could put them together, and now you just made maximum Daredevil. Man, I hope they don't do that. Because now it feels like that's the key. That's how they'll justify that. Otherwise, look, we're looking at Marvel Legends. I'm not seeing any cause for concern here. He has the lower articulation. The belt is a little bit in his way, but not terrible. We got the good back bend here and whatnot for when he's jumping, which is cool. I like that. I think that's actually important. Daredevil needs to be able to look up. He needs to be able to look down. I think that they did a good job with that. I don't see any problems with here or landing or doing anything of that nature. I don't see that you'll have trouble putting him on like the cross thing or whatever, like in the middle of the night where he sits up on the cross thing. I'm not seeing any problems with that. I kind of like these lines. I don't know why. I feel like you could have easily just done him all red, but I kind of like the little line here and the lines here that separate and kind of cause just a little bit more articulation and whatnot in him. Not articulation, but just like a little more attitude. The belt is a nice little separation. The D, the D's work very well. The eyes, they're just red. But they should be. That's what they should be. He's big. He's kind of like, he's bigger. He's a little wider, which I feel like works for him because unlike Spider-Man, where Spider-Man is a superhuman, and I guess he is too, but you get my argument. Spider-Man is a superhuman where his muscles actually work differently than human characters. Like, he has powers that are amplifying his abilities, so his muscle structure can be slimmer while he can still, like, bench 50 times his body weight. This dude has to be big enough to do what he's doing while still being able to maintain his nimble design. That's cool. However, minor thing. Minor. But we're going to bring it up. If you were going to go out of your way to do the black on the boots and the black on the wrists and this and the red eyes instead of just giving us a plain red body, which you could have done. You could have gotten away with that. Why did you not color the strap here that holds the billy clubs? See, it's just like a red, like, why is that not black? Do you feel it would have broken up the character? Because I don't feel like it would have. And if we're willing to break up the character at the boots and the gloves, then what would have been the difference? We have the belt, we have the D's, we have this, we have these. Why not right there? Could it have been a paint app type of thing? Like, oh, if we mess that up on every figure or something like that, it'll be a real problem. It's a pain to do. And I don't know. Otherwise, them butterflies are deep. Like they're not messing around. This guy's very solid. For the only red Daredevil I have. Oh! The punch and expression hands are side to side. The billy club hands are slashing. I like that. I personally feel like if you're going to add clubs, swords, and things of that nature, they need to be on a slashing hand because it gives you more, it gives you better, like it's one thing to hold them out straight, but it's another thing to have them standing there when they kind of hold them down at an angle or whatever, like have them at their sides. I would prefer that. I think that's cool. Solid. Very solid. Very cool. Daredevil. Shelf. Fantastic. Minor complaints. All very minor. Nothing serious. I'm happy with it. I'm actually probably more happy than I'm even letting on. This is a very solid Daredevil. Solid to the point where I probably will not need another one for a very, very long time unless they do something wild. But let me pull that back real quick. Pull that back. If they want to get me to buy another Daredevil, I have a red one now. I'm very happy with it. I don't know what they're going to do to get me to buy another red Daredevil. There's two possibilities to get me to buy a Daredevil now. Three. I'm a putz. 3. These are minor things, though. Shadowlands Daredevil, the black suit. You could probably get me to buy that Daredevil. I don't have one. If I seen one, if I knew it was coming out, if I had the money, if there was nothing else coming out, there's stipulations, because the black suit is cool. It's not my ideal Daredevil, but I would probably buy it. 2, if you did a re-release of that 90s Daredevil. I know people don't like the armor Daredevil. I did. I did. Look, for Daredevil, I thought it made sense. It was black and red. It's a proven color scheme. I thought he still looked like Daredevil, but I thought the armor, not the storylines that were happening at the time, I'm not worried about those, but the armor I thought made sense for Daredevil since Daredevil is a guy. He doesn't have bulletproof skin. He doesn't have stab-resistant pecs. Like, he's a guy. He doesn't even actually dodge bullets at the rate that, like, Spider-Man does. He's just really good at what he does, and he disarms people with guns very quickly. But he can be shot and beat up and punched in the face and stabbed. And it's much easier to get that on him than it is on Spider-Man or Captain America or superhumans. So the armor thing, it actually works for me. You want to sell me another Daredevil? I would buy the armor variant Daredevil. I would do it. Last. Give me this body. This highly articulated, very well done body. Give me this level of vibrant color. Give me yellow Daredevil. Again, I have one on the shelf. He's very old. Give me yellow Daredevil again. First appearance, yellow Daredevil. Vibrant colors. Or it doesn't even have to be, you could literally Daredevil yellow. That comic series, give me that color yellow. Give me a vibrant yellow Daredevil. I will buy it. I will buy it. I liked yellow Daredevil. I did not hate that costume design. I know people didn't like it. I'm not people, okay? I think I would like it. I have a yellow Daredevil on the shelf and I already like it. So if you want to give me the vibrant April O'Neil yellow, I think I would buy it. I really do. I think I would buy it. That's how you would get me on other Daredevil sales. But to get me to buy another red at this point, you got an uphill battle because this guy is pretty much everything I need. I'm not seeing anything that I dislike. He could have come with an unmasked head. One of those little, that effect where it looks like the hood has been pulled back. But I'm getting picky. Like, see, I'm pointing out things for the sake of pointing them out. Because realistically, if tomorrow, if they said, hey, by the way, we're going to do the same Daredevil that we just did, but he's going to have that little hood thing, and he's going to have an unmasked head, I'm not buying it again. You're not getting me on that. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just kind of giving out ideas as to what would kind of edge it out and what would have made it perfect. No figure is perfect. We can always be like, there's room to improve. And that's the reason this line has gone so long, is because even if they basically get it perfect, they'll turn around and surprise you a couple years later with something you didn't even know you needed, like the reflective lenses on the Spider-Man eyes, where you can, like, where they drew the city in on the Superior Spider-Man. I think that's cool. I think a lot of Spider-Men need that. That is really cool. Little things like that. But to get me to upgrade, to get me to buy another, I don't know. But I think I do. I think I do want the yellow and the armor. And I just seen it come up in the chat. So before I end this chapter, if they sold a battle damaged Daredevil, yeah, they got me on that one. I hadn't even considered that while I was going through all these. If they sold a battle damaged variant Daredevil, all right. Okay. There's Daredevils left for Bill to buy, I guess, to be fair. But I'm very happy with what I have. I have no reason to go hunting or wishing for new Daredevils. I've kind of got what I want, and if I never get another one, I would be fine. But there are some that you could get me on. This is not a closed market for me on the Daredevil front. So let's get another one of these set up. Oh, there. So let's do, we just did Marvel Legends. Itchy nose. Let's do, oh. We've got a set of those sitting. We've got those sitting. Thought I had something else. How did you get? You go there. Go there. Oh, we do. We do have one thing left. And then we're back to the start of all this. Okay. Okay. I love the vibrant red color on this Daredevil. I would agree. I didn't even mention that. He is colored very well. It's like there's a vibrant red to it, but it's not like, how do I put this? It's not like a crayon red. It's dark, but it pops in a nice way. It's very nice. I agree. Daredevil has been drawn by many artists with different hues to the suit, but I love this more because of how he pops next to other characters. I would agree. I think it's very cool. And I would almost wonder if I took pictures of him in the dark, how well that red, like, bleeds shadow-wise. Like, it'd be interesting to see that. You could always compare Daredevil to Spider-Man. And, I mean, we kind of did, but not. That's my only gripe, too. Should have came with Matt Murdock head and a separate wire piece for the billy clubs. I just looked it up. He's canonically left-handed. I somehow did not know that. I'll never call myself an expert. You know that. I've said that. However, I've read a lot of Daredevil. How has my mind never processed that? Was he mostly drawn right-handed in the comic books by artists that weren't thinking about it? Because I feel like I've seen him right-handed with that billy club millions of times. Literally. I'm wondering here for a second. I'm going to do something. Hold on. Just real quick. Nothing serious. I'm going to write comic book Daredevil. That's it. We're just going to put that into images here, and I'm going to look real quick. The very first comic of him ever. Interesting. My mind has never processed that before. The very first comic, the Daredevil Yellow, the very first one, not Daredevil Yellow, Here Comes the Daredevil, issue 1, Daredevil, he is pulling the billy club out with his left hand. And the billy club, the little latch thing, the holder, I'm seeing it over and over and over again in image after image after image. I'm seeing that pouch drawn on his left side. How has my mind never processed the fact that he's pulling things left-handed, throwing things left-handed, holding things left-handed? He is predominantly left-handed. I mean, you see artwork here and there, like I see a picture that I'm looking at right now where he's standing, he's got like his left hand ready to punch and he's holding the billy club. But then the pouch is still on the left, which means he pulled it from the left because that's what he's used to doing. That is wild to me. It somehow took me holding an action figure and making a joke about a punch. But then I got a picture here where he's standing here and he's got the pouch on his right leg. And then Daredevil 1. But it's one of the ones where they relabeled it Daredevil 1 for the Marvel Now. It's back on his left. And here's where for a while Daredevil was wearing those combat jeans. It's on his left. It seems to more consistently be on the left, but I am finding it. I just found another one where it's on his right. So I'm going to put it up to artist error. I think that what we're witnessing is that my mind never processed the idea that he was predominantly left-handed, that he was pulling from the left, that he often has it in the left. Because so many characters are right-handed that my mind just said, oh, he's right-handed. Of course he is, because everybody is. And then, because of that, when my mind saw artists that would draw him in the wrong way, because I just found another one where he, Daredevil number 24, Southside Comics, the latch where you put the billy club holder, it's on his right. It's on his right, which would make him predominantly pull from the right to pull the billy clubs, which would be awkward if you're not right-handed. However, the bulk of these images shows it on the left. So, like, he is left-handed, and that makes sense to me. But I cannot believe that for years, I have never, ever processed that fact internally. Ever. Until I decided to make a joke about he can only punch with one hand. And then that made me think about him and his dad, and how they both have a boxing background in one direct way or another. And then it got me wondering, what's his stance? Like, that's what made me think about it. Like, if he's boxing, how does he square up? What's his stance? That is wild to me, that I've never processed that before. Ever. Like, it has never, ever occurred to me, ever. I'm surprised. That's cool. It's cool to, like, learn a thing. But I can't believe I've read so many Daredevil comics and I've never picked up on it somehow. My mind has never, ever, ever picked up on that before. Use the radar sense, then you'll have maximum Professor X at home. I will too. I absolutely will. Till they announce battle damage Daredevil. Yeah, exactly. But I like how you preface that real quick. Hi, Bill. What live-action Superman suit is your favorite? And Henry's is not that bad, Bill. I never said that Henry had the worst Superman outfit. In fact, we have actually reviewed on Fandom Night a long time ago. We reviewed every single Superman costume ever worn by a live-action actor. And Henry Cavill did not score at the lowest of our list. I do not believe so. We're right there. Surprisingly, Jake, I'm re-listening to a bunch of our suit reviews. I believe we reviewed all of them, minus the new guy. Want me to send you the stream vid? I would say definitely do that, because it makes this question a lot easier. Superman costumes. What are my thoughts on that? I don't think Henry Cavill has the worst. I absolutely don't think that. I don't love it by, like, any means. It doesn't like make me go, oh my god, he's the best. But let me see if I can do something real quick, make this really easy. Let me just see if I can find an image real quick or something like that of a bunch of the Superman actors. There's one. Oh my, that picture is very tiny. But that's a good one right there. So, Kirk Allen. The suit is bad. Let's just be honest about it. Kirk Allen, we're talking 1948. We're going to give him a little bit of leeway, but I'm going to tell you right now, the suit is bad. It's not a good suit. You got to give it its time, but you got to be honest about what you're looking at as well. And it's not a great suit, okay? It's not a great suit. I'm going to say something first off that's not going to be fair. Tom Welling has the worst Superman costume in Superman history. Ever. Of the live action actors, ever. He is the worst. It is terrible. It's awful. It's awful. It's absolutely awful. It's sad. It's stupid. And if you want to tell me that he wore the Superman suit, first off, he did not. Second, they CGI'd that S. Third, when he did appear flying around in the suit, it was a tiny little CG model that wasn't even fully rendered, so they couldn't even actually show it to us. So also, no, that doesn't matter either. He doesn't wear the suit. He wears ideas. He has like the stupid jacket with an S on it and little stupid things like that. And if you are not willing to go in full force to the Superman, at very least for the last episode, then you have the worst Superman suit ever worn, period. And you're just the worst. I'm sorry. There's no way around it. So he gets worst. Absolutely. Kirk Alyn probably comes up right behind him, in all honesty. But I don't think it's his fault. It's his time. You gotta give it what it was, and that's just the way it is. George Reeves' Superman costume. People are not going to like this. At least I have a feeling they're not going to like this. His Superman suit is also in the bad category. I'm going to list this. I'm going to list this as worst, bad, good, and best. That's how we're going to rate these things. Kirk Alyn is in the bad category. And George Reeves, his Superman costume, I realize you got to give it its time, but I live in a modern age, and I've seen modern things, and I've read comic books, and my eyes do this thing where they judge things, and his costume is bad. If you put that costume on a guy today, most actors today can't pull that costume off because it is a bad costume. It doesn't really work. He's going in the bad category. No disrespect to what he accomplished and what he did and how prominent he was as through the years, but his Superman costume is not good. I think it still needed real work, and the fact that like the cape hung in the back and everything like that, and like this, like the blues were always like different levels of color, and the S, I really don't care for the S. I think it's kind of weird, kind of like Kirk Alyn. His S is kind of awkward. I don't like them. I don't think it works. Christopher sits up there in the best category. I really do think, and I know, okay? I know immediately that it immediately goes to, oh, of course, here it comes, nostalgia, old man Bill, he liked Christopher. I did. But the suit is not just a thing. The suit never stands on its own. That's the thing that I've been trying to push while I'm talking about this right now. The Superman suit also pairs with the person who's wearing it. And if the person, like one person might be able to fill out the suit and wear it and another might not be able to. But proof that the Christopher Reeve Superman suit is one of the best Superman suits, if not the best we have ever seen, and has never been duplicated in a way to be better. Maybe you could mess with the colors a little bit, but the Superman Christopher Reeve suit, I'm going to tell you why it's so good. Actor after actor after actor after actor after actor that have been seen wearing it have been able to pull it off. And that's impressive. Christopher Reeve looked amazing in that suit, like he was pulled off the page. Then John Newton was put in that suit, and he looks really, really good. It is a solid Superman suit. Then Jared Christopher was put in that suit, and it also looks very, very, very good. And Henry Cavill actually has tests wearing that suit, and it looks very, very good. And Brandon has tests wearing that suit, and it looks very, very good. It is simple. You're not going to be overly excited about it, but the simplicity of that suit allows the actors to really shine. The S is just the right amount of big. The blue, maybe you could argue it could be a little darker. Maybe you could argue that you like the cape to be a little bit different or something like that. But overall, the Christopher Reeve costume, that suit, is the best Superman suit live action we have ever seen. That goes in the best. I'm telling you, it does. There's no doubt in my mind. I can name multiple actors that have worn it that have all looked good. That's where I'm going with that. Dean Cain. Bad. I said it. I said what I said. It's a bad Superman suit. It's bad. Why is it bad? I don't actually like multiple things about the suit. One thing I don't like, and this is going to sound weird, but the S, it's like a different fabric on top of the fabric. And we hadn't got to the place where we were putting like a plate here or whatever. So it also is not like form-fitting to him. And that's actually very weird. Because there are times that he moves and the S like crinkles up or like moves around or like shifts. And I really don't like it. It really bothers the crap out of me. It didn't used to, but when I grew up and I kind of watched through the show again, and that's a bad Superman show, by the way. I'm sorry if people like that show. That's a bad Superman show. But Dean Cain's Superman suit in general, 1993, 1997, it's a bad Superman suit. I actually think that it sits in the bad category. However, a caveat to that. It is right between the good and bad. There's enough of it there that in the right lighting and when he stands in a very specific way, you go, that's a good Superman suit. Then, if he turns a little bit, or he messes up the S, or he stands the wrong way, it's a bad Superman suit. Also, this has nothing to do with the suit. But costume-wise is everything, because the person is actually important, and the cape is actually important, and the boots, and yada yada. Everything comes into play. This is going to sound so weird. Superman, when an actor slicks his hair back, that's bad. I don't know why, but it bugs me when Superman has slicked back hair. Like, Superman, usually his hair is styled a bit, and he has that bang that comes down. Usually it's a defining curl, but oftentimes he'll just have that bang. Or he'll have like a wave of hair. Tom Welling had it. Tom Welling always had this one bang that held off to the side. It was like a swip of hair that came down, and it felt right. Like, it's just something about it feels kind of Superman. When his hair is slicked back, he looks like a prick, like a 1980s businessman prick, like he's the bad guy in a Karate Kid movie or something, and I don't like it. And yes, the hairstyle does kind of fit in the costume sometimes, and does kind of determine a little bit of where I'm going to put those suits. Dean Cain is right at the top of bad, going into good, but there's enough there that bothers me that it sticks in the bad, and I'm sometimes, depending on the day you talk to me, I'll put him in a different spot. That's where I am with that. Tom Welling, worst. He's in the absolute bottom tier, worst Superman costume. Brandon. I'm sorry, Brandon. Your S is too small. Your colors are not right. You're very muted. Your cape is like maroon brick. You have all these little, like, there's so much stuff going on. You have like S's on the boots, S on the cape, S on the chest, S on the bottom of the boots, like the actual bottom of the boots. The tread on the bottom of the boots is little S's. S's on the bottom of your heels, S's on the belt. Like, stop it. There's too much S going on with Brandon, okay? It does bother me. I like Brandon as Superman. And I think that given a second movie, he could have been a generational Superman. I stick to that. To this day, I stick to that. But your costume, sir, goes in the bad tier. You're bad. Your costume is bad. Get a bigger S first off, and we'll work from there. Get a bigger S and remove all the S's everywhere, and we can start to kind of iron this out. Okay, your suit is bad. I'm sorry. But when you came back and you played Superman again, your second suit is in the greatest tier. I'm putting him in the greatest tier. He's up there in the top level tier, the best of the best. Absolute. He's up there. There it is. Bam. Okay? He's up there. That's one of the best suits we've ever had. It's right up there with the Christopher Reeve suit. I do think it's beautiful. That Kingdom Come inspired suit and the suit we see at the end where it's even a little bit more bright and it's got the yellow and everything. Oh, it's beautiful. That's one of the best suits I've ever seen ever in the history of Superman. And on a TV budget, unbelievable. You did it, man. You did it. Henry, now he has multiple costumes as well. So this is going to be a little tough. The black suit, bad. I said it. I don't care. I don't care what you say. It's bad. It's bad. I'm sorry. I don't think it works for me at all. And I realize that people are immediately going to say, oh, but Bill, that was actually done in the books. And yeah, it was. That doesn't make me like it. Okay? It doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't. I don't think the black suit Superman, it sits in the bad tier. I don't like it. I don't think it's good. Let me see if I can bring this picture up, because this picture looks like it'll help me with what I'm trying to determine here. The first Superman costume, the black suit is bad. It is. I don't care. It's bad. I think it's bad. The first costume, I think the first costume in Man of Steel is bad. There's caveats to it. I think it's, once again, it's one of those suits that in the right light and from the right direction, it's good. But the more I see it and the more it sits with me, I think it's a bad costume. I think he looks fantastic. I think his costume, not so much. But proof of that is with very, very minor changes. Very minor. Okay, I'm not even talking about big changes here. Minor changes. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. That suit is good. I think so. I really, honestly think so. I think they brightened it up a little bit, but they kept a little bit of darkness in the cape. They moved the S out and changed its design just the littlest bit, and it really works for me. With now, they've modified the sleeves just a little bit, and they've made them a little longer. Originally, they were kind of like a cusp, and they went up and they did like a little thing, and they kind of clipped up here. I didn't like that, but I like when they're the more sleeves, and they have like the things that go around. They kind of go almost all the way up on his forearm here. I like that. I prefer my Superman to have a belt, and sometimes actually I do prefer my Superman to have the trunks. He doesn't have them. I do think that takes away from the suit a little bit, but that's a personal preference, and that's kind of where I sit with it. And the best he ever looked was Black Adam. When he shows up in Black Adam, that is his best suit. It's his absolute, it's the top of the good that he reaches. That's a good Superman suit, personally. Then, lastly, we have two people to talk about. We have Tyler. Is it Hoechlin? Hoechlin? Is that his name? Hoechlin? I can't remember. He has a couple of suits too, if I'm not mistaken. So he gets a little bit complicated as well. And I don't know all of the suits. I know like 3 of them. There's the one where he very much looks like Superman, but he has a red belt, but he doesn't have the trunks. That suit is at the very bottom of good, going into bad. They've almost got it, but it's not there. It's not there, personally. I think it's kind of a bad suit, but I think it's kind of a good suit. And it's right at the edge. It's almost there. You almost had it, but you didn't. You didn't have it. Next, the Superman suit that he wore that had the gold. He had like these gold bracer things like on his chest or whatever, and then he had the big S. I like the S. I thought that that was right, but I don't like the cape. I don't like that he has like this leather strap thing that goes back that then comes into the cape. I don't like that. I don't like that he doesn't have the trunks. I didn't care for the overall design. I don't like the honeycomb that's all over the suit. Something about that feels off on him, and maybe it's his body type. Maybe it just doesn't work well for the honeycomb. It feels like it's too much, kind of like it did with Brandon. It just doesn't work for me. That suit is bad. But then he shows up in another suit. And that suit, the one that's based on the Fleischer comics, or like the original looks, like that's not Fleischer comics, but the like the cartoon, that Superman, like a 1940s-esque look or whatever that they did with him, that suit is brilliant. That is one of the best Superman suits I have ever seen. It is sitting in the greatest. It is so fantastic. I absolutely love it. I can't get enough of it. I wish the whole series would have been just that suit. It's absolutely beautiful. When he flies down and he stops the car and the kid is back up. We're talking about Superman right now. And then the kid shows up and he's like, "Oh my God." He's like, "Cool, man," or whatever. And he's like, "I love your suit." And he's like, "Thanks. My mom made it for me." And he flies off. I love it. I love it. That right there, that's in the greatest tier. That's one of the best Superman suits I have ever seen, ever on film in my entire life. It is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Which brings us to the newest Superman suit. I'm pretty sure I've named almost all of them. I'm going heavily off of memory here, because all I do is I have a small little readout. I have this one picture. It's got 10 pictures on here, and that's all it is. And it just shows a couple of the Superman actors. So I don't even have all the actors here in front of me, but it's the suit that I found, and then I'm going off memory mostly. The new Superman suit for Corn Sweat. I'm trying to be fair. Bad. Now, here's the thing, and I've been talking about this forever, and people get confused. They think that when I mess with Cavill's suit that I don't like Cavill, and I've tried to explain this multiple times. There are things I don't like, and there are things I do like. And not everything is tied together in a pretty little bow. Just because I'm not sitting here beating off to a Superman suit doesn't mean that I didn't like a Superman show. And just because I might like a suit doesn't mean I necessarily loved a movie or loved a show. I think that the new Superman movie is fantastic. I really loved it. I'm really, really, really loving what they're doing right now, and I can't wait to see more Superman. But please work on that suit. Please work on that suit. Okay? I understand what you're going for here to an extent. I don't like the S. It's very stylized. And while you could make the argument that this, if we're going with the whole alien, this is a symbol and the symbol means hope and whatever. If you were to make that kind of an argument, the one that we tried to make with Henry Cavill, it's not an S, and on my planet, it means hope or whatever. And then she laughs at his face and goes, well, here, it's an S. That's fair. But if you were to make that same argument with Corn Sweat's emblem, you could probably make that argument and it would work a little more because it's not like an S. It's like something completely different, and it is kind of like a weird hieroglyphic type of looking thing that's not like normal writing. And you could make that argument with him, and I think you could probably make it. I don't like that S. It's got to go. It's bad. I don't like it. I don't like these like shoulder pad things that they did on the suit. Maybe that's because he, as Superman in general, is not like a big bodybuilding dude. And so maybe they made the conscious decision to bulk him out a little bit by adding like areas in the costume where they put the side pieces on and like then they trim and they do like the shoulder pads. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't think it works. I also would argue, strangely enough, that the trunks are like too big. Like, I want the trunks to be there. And I know some people don't agree with that, but I want the trunks to be there, but I don't want them to be like that. And it's really hard for me to explain. I don't like the way that the belt is not across. It like has this thing where it kind of like goes, and it has like a lean where it goes like across the waist and then like comes down. And like, I can explain it, but it's really hard. It goes across and then it comes down into like a curve and goes across. And I really don't like it. I don't know if it's the way the suit is designed, but the belt is not flush across the waist. It like, it waves and I really don't like it. And then like the color is fine. Boots could have been a little bit better. I don't like the fact that the sleeve goes down to like this weird like point where it goes down almost like a minor gauntlet looking thing. I prefer my Superman to have sleeves. Just right there. You got a shirt, just close them off. I don't need them to go down and like go across the front of the hand or what. Like, I don't know why we do that. And that's been a thing for a while, by the way. Henry Cavill had that. That one dude that played for a while had that. The guy that I was talking about in the Tyler, he had that. The new guy Corn Sweat has that, where they got the like weird thing that I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. And I'm pretty sure now I've talked about every Superman, I think. I'm almost positive that I've done this. I've done it. And that's kind of where I am with all this. Back up. This is Superman talk. We don't got to be so serious, camera. But I wasn't looking at the camera. I was actually trying to focus, because that's not a small question that you asked me. You asked me to go through every single one. In a way, you did, because the only way I can answer that is to really kind of lock it down where my thought pattern is, and that's kind of where I am. I have the Superman suits are all over for me, and I do have some that are like higher tier and some that are lower tier and whatnot, and that's why they end up there. Nick gave him a 0, then said next he hates Henry Cavill. He doesn't like him. He doesn't like him more than I do. I think that Henry could have been a solid Superman, but I think that what they were asking him to do was, I'll bet you once NDA and everything, and he's not worried about his career, because actors have to worry about their career. I'll bet you that he will come out later, years down the road, if he hasn't already done it somewhere before, and he will tell you that when he was hired to play Superman, he thought he was going to play him a certain way, and he didn't get to do that. I'm 100% sure. There's no doubt in my mind. Since Seth Bill, what do you rate David? You give him a 4. 4.5 on David? Oh man, I crashed David. I do not like that suit. Tom Welling said it was a t-shirt. It's still terrible. Super sweatshirt. I remember we said Affleck's was great, but that's because he wasn't playing Superman. Right. I guess I didn't even include him, and I don't have a picture for reference off the top of my head, but I do remember him filling out that suit. Like, he definitely could have played Superman. George Reeve was in color, and both Superboy are alive, Bill. They didn't die. I thought one of the Superboys died. I'm almost 100% sure somebody playing a Superman on TV died. But maybe not. I thought for sure a Superman died. I'm almost 100% sure. I thought a Superman got. Maybe not. But sorry, I guess. Once again, I've never claimed to be an expert, so like, take offense if you would like, but a living room conversation is a living room conversation, so I'm still not 100% sure what you'd be worried about, to be fair. And even if they didn't die, it doesn't change the fact that their suits are what they are. Brandon's KC suit was one of our favorites. I remember that one too. Brandon Roth, you said he wore Spankies. Max Flesher's Superman suit, live action. Yes, that's one of my all-time favorites. They've updated it a little bit, but it looks, if not, looks very much the same as it did before. David Cornsweet's suit for Man of Tomorrow. I did see that they've made minor differences, and I wonder if that's going to be like a slow movement into something as we go, but like, overall, I can't say that like, yeah, his suit, it's in the bad category for me, but his Superman would be in the great category for me. I don't care. I love that movie. Let me get this before I answer these next two things. Let's do there. I'm pretty sure that's right. And then I have that. I know that that's sitting down there. I also have, what are you? Oh. I have that sitting down there, and then there. In his prime, what are your thoughts if Brendan Fraser got to play Superman back then? Oh my God. Like if you're talking like right after the first Mummy movie, if they would have been doing Superman and they would have casted him, if I think that he would have been fantastic. Like, he's big, he's got the look, he had a decent personality. He's like a very nice tough guy kind of thing, like a nice guy tough guy. He had the physique for it. He was definitely built. I don't see that he would have had any real problems. Aside from the fact that just like Brandon, if you'd have given him a movie back then and they'd have done basically close to the exact same thing, he would have been in a bad movie, which would have made him a bad Superman in most people's opinions, which would have got basically he'd have never got a second movie, and we'd have been right in the same conversation. But I believe that he had the look. He could have done it. Like, he would have been really, really neat, actually. I would have been very interested to see what he would have done, like what he would have pulled off. That would have been very cool. Let's see. We are. All right. So we're sitting at Dark Knight Batman. So here we go. Because I'm going to say some things. Okay? I'm going to do it. I know how this goes. It's probably good. I don't have like a substantially high view count because I get a lot of people mad at this one, but here we go. Batman, Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller. I like this. I I like this book. I like this storyline. I like this animated movie. I like this right here. I like this figure. That's a unit, right? That's a unit. Frank Miller. Frank Miller is a comic book artist and writer I do not like. I don't like him. It, you know how I told you that I've had enough 90s extreme, I've had enough 90s darkness, enough 90s edge. I've cut myself on the pages of them books enough time to be tired of them. Frank Miller. When I read this, I thought it was fantastic. When I watched this, I thought it was fantastic. When I've read it again as an older man, I still think I really, really like this. I don't like it as much as I used to. And I do think the movie adaptation is better than the book. I said what I said. But there are things that Frank does that make me not care for him in the comic book space. One, take this how you're about to take this. His artwork is trash. I said it. It's trash. I said it. Look, art is subjective, okay? It speaks to us. Maybe it speaks to you. It doesn't speak to me. I don't need a Joker that looks like he could arm wrestle Arnold Schwarzenegger. What is that? Why is everybody built like a unit? Why is everybody a tank of a man? And like why is he going out of his way to make like certain characters like not just fat, but like grotesquely so? Like what he did with some of the characters and whatnot in that book that like, I get it that people change and not everybody looks the same way they do. Okay. I have changed over the years, but like if Frank Miller was to draw me as compared to what I looked like back when I was boxing and then drew me today, I would be like this fat, obnoxious, double chin, pain dude that like sits there and like, I can't stand it. Okay. I can't stand it because also I don't like one of the things that he does, that he will often draw somebody in a gross way, like exaggerate their bad features, and then on top of it, add something to that character and then give them the statement that he disagrees with. You see him do it all the time, and it kind of drives me nuts sometimes. That I don't love. I don't love that he draws everybody like a box, like everybody is so big. And while Batman makes sense to me, some of the other people do not. Like, why is everybody so big? And then, oh my gosh, the artwork that he's doing today? What is that? In everything, like every other thing that I read from him. Now, I don't follow him. That's another thing, too. Understand that I am cherry picking hard here because I do not have an anthology of work. But, like, I go to Daredevil and I pick up Daredevil and I'm like, hey, I kind of like something about this. Like, some of this is good. But he, like, overdoes the shadows sometimes. That kind of bothers me. It gets old. The art style kind of bleeds on me after a while and kind of makes me like, hey, this is kind of cool. Hey, I'm kind of getting tired of this. And like everybody is so edgelord and everything's so dark and like the way that he then like that hardcore like, oh, remember when Elektra had the 80s hair, but it like wasn't 80s hair, it was this exaggerated like like poof thing that went out and curls oh, I didn't like that. I wasn't a big fan of that. And like little things like where he would look at Daredevil, and then I've even seen the things where he does the interviews and he says things like, Daredevil should be a villain. Like, he should have been a villain. Like, as opposed to what? As opposed to how many other hundreds of characters that have had just the same amount of tragic backstory that you didn't say the same thing. Like, but then he, like, I don't know, does he get off on that? Because he also kind of pivots the same concept with, like, Batman. He's like, Batman's a villain. Like, he's a villain. He's fighting other villains, but he's a villain. Okay, from a certain point of view, you're going to make that argument, and I'm going to agree with you. Because yes, Batman is a vigilante. Everybody practicing vigilantism, except for the fact that that we've allowed it in the comic books, so it changes the demographic of what we're talking about. In that universe, for some reason, we've backed off of it, and vigilantism is very much just accepted. I don't know why it's accepted, but it's accepted. Superman can be a vigilante, and he can just go do things, and we all praise him and love him for it, and Batman can do the same thing, and he'll mostly get praised and loved for it, and the Flash, and everybody else. And they're not just, like, always saving lives. They're very blatantly doing vigilante justice, even with the best of intentions. They are all against the law. Every superhero is against the law, technically speaking. So I could agree with that. But in the universal context that we've created to play that angle, bugs me. Also, Superman, what he did with Superman to anybody that sees Superman as a Boy Scout doesn't know Superman. It's that simple. It's that simple. And I understand that in an Elseworld story, you will make certain modifications in order to tell the story you want to tell. But the way that he put Superman into the narrative and things like that has never quite sat right with me. It's always kind of bugged me a little bit. And I do think that there's a little bit of a angle as to why he chose to do the things that he chose to do with characters, as I've already mentioned. Also, I do not love the artwork that he is currently doing right now. And I really, really do not love the storylines that he seems to think everything has to be like dark, edge, death, shadows, weird, grotesque boxmen. I don't like Frank Miller in almost any context that I encounter him in all the time. Most of the time, his artwork alone will put me off a book and make me not read it. Like, I read this. I mentioned I liked this. I do not like it as much as an older man, and I think the movie did better. I'm talking about the animated movie, the 2-part animated movie, by the way, in case that is not clear. But then I seen that there was like the second part of this, and I never read it because I could not get past that artwork. Look, man, comic books is 50% story, 50% art. If one part does not complement the other, or if they do not work together, the book is bad. It's bad. If you do a serious, dark Spider-Man story with Scooby-Doo art, the book is ruined. The book is ruined. It breaks my immersion. It doesn't work for me. I think that it's important. So if I can't get past his artwork, I often can't read his narrative. And then sometimes I read his narrative and I go, oh, we're doing this again. And then I'm done with him. And I felt like that, not as an older man, but pretty much my entire life. I am not a Frank Miller fan at all. So then why would I buy this? Because this is one of the best Batman concepts ever done. And I gotta give it to him. He did it. I don't agree with everything in it. I've already talked about that. But man, if I don't love a retired Batman that sees the world falling apart around him, is disgusted, has tried to walk away, and has realized he can't, but also is realizing in real time that the game has changed. He is not the young man he used to be, and he can't play it the same way anymore. I also love that. I love how this Batman is a scary big... Look at this guy! This almost doesn't even make sense. It's another one of those like little continuity things that we just kind of let go and we go, okay, yeah, that's fine, whatever. But like this right here is supposed to be the same Batman that we see in books like Nightfall. It's supposed to be later and some things were changed and then I know it's an Elseworld, but like that's the same guy. We're supposed to be able to trace this costume back to have been worn by that dude. How did this guy go to the Batcave, being that size, and put this costume on, and it fit? Like, how did he do that? How did this man fit in this thing? One could say that the costume is... One could say that the figure is wrong, that it's over-exaggerated, but I would not make that argument because I have seen the movie and read the book, and very blatantly, this scene, you could maybe make the argument that's the same guy. Other scenes where you see him as just this big, giant, ridiculous box of a man, how did he fit in this costume? Like, is this thing like... And it's not even tight. That's the other thing, too. They make it seem as though he's lost some of his bigness or something like that. Because there are literal scenes where you see him wearing it, and it looks like it's loose, like it doesn't fit him correctly anymore. Like it's kind of bagged up or whatever. And like, you definitely got way, way bigger. Like, it's one of those goofy continuity things that nobody ever like talks about it. Nobody says, oh, that makes no sense. Or even worries about it. But like, how do you fit in this? How do you fit in that costume? Look at the size of this man. That's a big man. And he was not always that big of a man. Not in the continuity that this guy tries to lay out. Because if I am to believe that the story departs at the death of Robin, that we're supposed to look at that Batman and say he retired at that point. And look at the size of that Batman and the design of that Bat costume. And then he just went downstairs one night and took it off the rack and put it back on and looks like this. No way. No way. Have you tried to fit into your large shirt when you're like 2XL? It don't work. You look like the funny fat kid that came to play baseball that like his clothes don't quite fit right because like his parents bought him his clothes when he was like, you know, a size 10 or whatever, but now he's like a size 16, but they never quite had enough money or time to go back out and buy clothes again. So he's just like making do. That's what this Batman would look like. There's no way he wore that. There's no way. All that goofiness aside. And all me dogging Frank Miller, because that's what it is. And I knew this video had been coming for a long time. And I'm almost happy that I only have the following that I have. Because when this becomes a chapter, it'll get like... I probably manage 200-300 views as things go. I make relatively, peek behind the curtain here, I make big money here on YouTube. I make relatively $1.40 a video. Oh yeah. It's probably true. Like my estimated value often comes up like 49 cents, $1.50. Maybe this made $10. Like it's I don't make a lot video wise. I'm not that kind of channel, I'm not a big channel. We're hanging out here. That's what we do. We're not worried about like reaching for the stars, but boy, if I was. And I decided to be honest because that's how I run my show is I'm just talking fandom and how I view it and how it affects my life and why I would buy the things I buy And this guy right here, this guy would be a hated video. I don't know how many hates I'm going to get when this chapter comes out, because people really love Frank Miller. I don't. But that's a good looking Batman right there. Isn't it? Isn't that unit, that old man unit Batman, doesn't that look like a good figure? We are at the end of the McFarlane line. And he got me on another Batman. He got me on two. He got me to buy this Batman, and he's gonna get me to buy the Dark Knight movie Batman. You got to hand it to him. The McFarlane line has got me to buy Batmans like I was 12 years old again. Like back when Batmans were coming out and it was like in the 90s or whatever, and they were just like Batman after Batman after Batman, and all of them were different. And there was like a blue Batman and a red Batman and a gold Batman and a turquoise Batman and a Batman with lightning and a solid white Batman and a red with green Batman and Christmas Batman. And like, I have a Batman shelf. I have never had a Batman shelf. But McFarlane, dang it, if he didn't really knock it out of the park on this Batman crap, because like, and you could say what you want, you could say that he overdid it, but like, people were buying it, okay? So keep complaining, but we're spending that money, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Batmen. Now, you've seen the way that I collect. And I do not collect in that way unless it is Spider-Man. But man, when he does one Batman after another, after another, after another, after another, and yeah, it gets old. But like, look at that. What, I'm just not going to buy that? Say what you will, man. Say what you will. He did it. He did it. And then like, we're not even done with the Batmans. We got more coming. Not that I think I will buy. We've talked about this before. I did not read any of the Absolute Batman. And that is not Absolute Batman's fault. I want to keep prefacing that. I have not read it. I cannot judge it. Okay? It's 100%. All I can do is tell you that when I look at it, I go, oh, 90s. And then I walk away from it. But from the people I have talked to, it is doing very well. People are reading it. And there are a couple of things that I have heard about the way it's being handled that does seem like a good thing. Honestly. Does it make me want to run out and buy it? No. No. I have begun to reach a point in comic books where I've read the storylines that I'm going to read. Almost any new storyline that comes out does not make me go, oh man, that I would be interested in. I don't care. I don't care. Like, I've kind of read all the stories that I care to read comic book wise. And then there's stories that I missed out on that I've always kind of wanted to read. And I would like to have those graphic novels. And then there are certain things that I read as a kid that I would like to reread to see how I feel about them as an older man. And I want to read those stories. And none of that makes me go, I would like to spend a lot of money to obtain the Absolute Batman books, which I'm definitely not going to go for the single issues. We've talked about that. I'm done with those. I can't stand them. They had to go. I'm done with that part of the industry. I don't like it. I don't care for it. And so like, now I'm in this weird spot where like comic book wise, I'm aware of all the new stuff, but don't care enough to go out of my way to like read it. And I don't like looking up things like wiki reviews or watching watching somebody online, like Comics Explained and stuff like that. The reason I don't care for that is because sometimes when they explain books or when the wiki talks about a book, if I have read it, I will sometimes hear them say something that is not actually part of their review, but it's like what I do, where I give my opinion. And the problem with that is that when you are giving information or a review that is supposed to be untainted by your opinion so that you could be fair about what you are doing, that is not the same thing as what I do, where I'm just talking. I'm talking at a living room level with you. I don't care for Frank Miller crap. That's what I do. There. Our discussion doesn't go into facts because it's very much about I feel about this thing and how you feel about this thing. And then that's the end of it. We don't have to get any deeper than that. And sometimes we might argue, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because we weren't exactly up here trying to prove anything. We were talking about stuff. When you give a review and then you say something that is very blatantly not true, or you obviously did not understand the context of what you were reading, that, especially when I have read the book you're talking about, then makes me go, oh, hold on. And then everything else that I have read on a wiki or something like that I did not read personally that was explained to me about the comic, I then go, all right, so nothing that you have told me is something that I should use in a debate. Because if I use your information, it's not real information, it's opinionation. And that is a very different argument that we then end up having. And then I will look like an absolute fool when that information is given back to me. Did you even read the book? No, I didn't. I just know. But then you don't know, do you? Okay. So will I know about this absolute? I will know minor things about it, and that's all that I will really know. What I will be able to find out, not because I'm buying it, somebody will buy it, and then I will see it. Somebody do me a favor, as if I have a big enough audience to ask this. Somebody that has him, I need to see this guy next to the absolute Batman. I need that. I need to see this guy here standing next to that guy. I need to know the difference here. Is absolute so big? Like, are we going to go with that? Are we going to make him? Because I don't know how the figure is going to look. We have a basic idea, but we don't really know 100%. We haven't seen a full reveal. I need him to stand next to this guy. I need to know. That's what I want. That's what I want out of Absolute Batman. But I'm not about to buy it to get that information. Somebody help me. That's what I'm gonna need. Okay? I need to see it stand next to this so I could see what kind of unit they have produced. I need that. That's what I need. Let me open this guy because we gotta see it. Okay, so, couple things. One, this Batman was such a unit, he only had 2 of these ties. I bring that up because I have cut so many of these out of the boxes that have them on the hands, on like the upper arms, the waist, one around like the legs, like both feet. Like this guy had 2 bands. That is it. Next, guess what I'm gonna say? This. See this right here? Should have been a flight stand. I will justify that this time. Normally I say this is a joke. And I just kind of, I do honestly think that because he designed those stands the way that he did, every single one of his figures should just come with one because of the way that stand is designed. And if you don't need them to fly, you just don't put the back peg on, and then that's the end. You end up with this anyway, but you also end up with flight stands for all your Green Lanterns and things like that. And then you could go the extra mile by printing it in green plastic or something like that if you really wanted to. All of them should come with flight stands. But this guy in particular, and I know he doesn't fly, but he should come with a flight stand because of this. This and one other image in particular are the most iconic images of this Batman in particular. And guess what he is doing? He is in the air, falling, gliding, flying. But the stand that we got is just a little standy stand. So I think in this time, I actually do have an argument for the fact that Batman should, in this case, in this version, if nothing else, come with a flight stand. Because, like, you also went out of your way, by the way, to give me an expression hand, to give me a punching hand, to give me a cape with a wireframe for a Batman that should be able to do this. But you didn't give me the flight stand. You were that close. That flight stand would have made a real difference. Doesn't matter. No, I'm just giving crap. But in all honesty, I feel like we should have got one. You got 2 punching hands here. Good. You got, for some reason, they gave him the karate chop hand or the flight hand or whatever you want to call that, which I guess is fine, but there you got it. We have an expression hand right here, which is also fine. And then we got this bat rope right here, which is this trash. If it unwound at the base, maybe I could make the argument that it's worth something, but this is trash. It's wound up like maybe it goes here, but it doesn't. And it's not wound up in a way like it would. Nothing about this makes sense in terms of the way that he would hold it or do anything with it. If he's already thrown it, then why would this be unwinding unless he threw it and it was like attached to the belt? Then maybe, or if it was attached to a grapple gun, sure. Or if this part was what went in his hand, but then why would all this extra area? This is a bad design for whatever it is that they intended you to do with this. And picture-wise or figure-wise or action-wise or on-your-shelf-wise, this Batarang right here, this is trash. I do not personally see any moment in time where this makes sense. Because if it was wrapped around his arm and he was carrying it, then it would be wrapped around, and like it would be, but it's not. It's whatever. This trash. Does it matter? No. But if you're going to waste the plastic to give me that, give me the flight stand. Like that's pointless. It does nothing for anybody, anywhere, anytime, for any reason, in any world. It's trash. Let's see Unit Batman. And I got a question. Because I saw something when I was messing with him, and I'm confused about it. And I don't feel like I've seen this on any Batman so far. There's Batman. There he is. It's fine. Right? Okay. And the cape does go out. Hey, look at that. And it goes out in a way that if, like, he was like flying or jumping, flight stand. But this is what caught my attention. What's that? What is that? Why is there a hole in his back? It's like a peg. It's like and it's not even like a round peg. It's like a very, very, very specific peg. One could argue, and this makes it even more confusing, that this peg is exactly designed to be a stand of sorts. And I know I'm only partially joking at this point. That looks like that was designed for one of those stands, like a flight stand that plugs into the back of a figure. But if you designed him with a stand in mind, where's the stand? And if you didn't, that is not a round hole. It is a very, very specific peg in his back that would go to a very, very specific type of piece that would plug into his back. What is that? I'm going to imagine that a portion of this dude is reuse, the chest specifically. Because with the bat and everything, all this is just paint. What was that originally? Because it's there, and now it like bugs me that it is there because I don't know why it's there. Maybe I'm the only one that cares. You're never going to see it. But because I know it's there, like I want to know why. And I don't know why. Otherwise, there he is. That is good. That's a good face. It's a good design. I am curious. Okay, he can look. That's important. If you've ever seen my first appearance Batman video, if you lift the guy's head, his neck has a hole in it. So he always, his whole life, just has to look down like this. And I've seen people praise that Batman and be like, oh, it's one of the best Batman in the line. I don't think so. I think his head is stuck like this. And if you lift it up even this far, there's a hole in his neck. I don't think that's good design. I think it's terrible design. This guy doesn't have that problem. This guy can look up and there's no hole in his neck. See how there's no hole in his neck? And he can look down and he can brood just as hard as any Batman ever. And that's what I need him to do. Okay? Without a hole in his neck. That's what I need him to do. I like the fact that they framed his eyes in this black paint. I love that. I love that he very much matches the artwork ideal, the aesthetic. He is like this big giant guy. He's old. It looks like it. Like, as I talked before, like you could see all the stuff in the sleeves and whatnot, and how like the suit doesn't really fit him, as if he lost size over the years, which this guy did not. He did not lose size. He is way, way bigger than he was storyline wise for what they're asking me to believe. That this Batman retired when Robin died, and the idea was that he would stay retired and certain things like that. And no way. No way. Like, he didn't just go downstairs and put this suit on. It wouldn't have fit. Otherwise, We did go back to the 90-degree elbows. Maybe that's because he's so big that they decided to do that. Or like I said, a lot of this could be reuse. This could be reuse from, because we've seen something very similar to this Batman. Not exactly this Batman, if I'm not mistaken. But we had the Dark Knight Returns wave that came with the horse. Is this a reuse of that body? And that's the reason we have what feels like the older 90-degree arms. I don't know. Otherwise, everything else is the same level of articulation that we would expect from a McFarlane figure. Friggin', he's got to put this hand out. Oh my God. Work with me here. That hand would have to go out or up or whatever, slightly like this. Work with me. And then this hand would be the one that would go all the way out. And then this knee would have to come up and his friggin' leg popped off because he's too big. Put your leg on. Holy crap, man. You have to move down and this would have... Yeah, this would be... You can't exactly get... Because his leg doesn't want to like... There, I kind of got it. This would have to go straight out. I'd have to switch the hands. I mean, you can kind of get it. I'm playing with it. It's not that you can't get him to pose. It's that he is really, really big. He's a really imposing giant dude. And his girth, like his size actually does like work against him. Because this dude is tremendous. Like, holy crap. That's fine, though. What do I need him to be for my shelf? I need him to be this Batman. And that's exactly what he is. And I will get poses out of him. He has enough McFarlane articulation that I'm not going to be mad at it. I like this belt. I like the big bat. I like the colors. Blue, this level of blue and gray. That's what I grew up with. It's the way that I saw Batman when I was growing up. So, like, I appreciate it. I like it. I like the Nightfall. My favorite Batman in the entire line is still the Nightfall Batman. And had the Volt collection did an upgrade and released him with this cape, then that would have been my absolute ideal Batman. Because I don't like the rubber capes. I prefer these capes. But, yeah. Otherwise... Nothing to really say. I'm a little confused about his back. I like the cape. That's a good head. Decent body design. Everything about him is pretty spot on for what I need him to be and like what I think he should be. Because, I mean, realistically, like, we will forgive a lot. And I've said this before. We will forgive a lot at very specific price points, okay? And his price point... being what it is, like $27. If you're a $30 figure, I'm willing to overlook many of your flaws. He works for me. He does exactly what I need him to do. Big, giant, crazy, awesome Batman. And that's all I needed him to be in the first place. And that's all he is. And so that 100% works for me. I have no real complaints here. I'm going to put him over here. That's my thoughts on him. However, I had a conversation last night about like the new Wonder Woman that's coming out from the Mafex, and I was asked what I felt about that, and I said I'm passing on that, easy pass, no question at all. And then they asked me like why, and I told them, look, at $140 base before shipping and handling, before tax, every little problem that I see is a problem that guarantees I don't buy your figure. Like, look, if you're crossing $100 threshold, you either do everything right or you don't get my $100. Like, we're not talking about a $27 figure. We're not talking about a $30 figure. We're not talking about a $20. We're not talking about a Marvel Legends. We'll let a lot of stuff go at a $20 price point. You going into $100? No, you better start justifying. Like, you better start justifying. And every justification better be spot on or I ain't buying nothing. So, no, I'm passing on that. But, that being said, that Superman and that Batman, they look fantastic. That Wonder Woman doesn't sell me. Let's see. Okay, let's do this. We just did DC. So we'll lay that one out. That. This. And, oops. Bap. Let's do that. Let's see what's happening up here. Don't compare Absolute Batman to Miller Batman then. Dark Knight Returns Batman will look like a stick comparatively. He does look stupid big, like in the artwork that I've seen, and that's the reason I'm very curious what they're gonna do with that figure. RoboCop Batman. Dude, I love the fact that he plays Batman in that movie. Like, he's so good. Quit making fun of me. Just because I couldn't find a shirt I normally wear and had to put something 2 sizes too small on to get my wife from work. I still can't get over Absolute Batman and his villains. Eldritch Horror Joker, Bane looking like if Rob Liefeld drew him, Two-Face looking like an anime villain. It's wild. I believe that. Like, I've seen some of the artwork. Absolute Batman is a unit, but god dang, he is one heck of a unit. I've also heard that they're talking about doing an Absolute Catwoman and giving her her own book or whatever. I can't say I've been thrilled about the way that she looks, but I don't have a dog in this race. As any time that we talk about anything, always keep in mind, in case you are new here, I am not an expert on any of it. I do not know everything. And 80% of the crap that I do is give opinions, because I'm just talking fandom up here. And my opinion will not be your opinion all the time. My collection will not be your collection all the time, nor does it need to be in any way whatsoever, because all of this in one shape or another is art, and art is subjective. Everything speaks to us differently and for a different reason and in a different way, and what speaks to me doesn't speak to you, and so on and so forth. So when I saw that Catwoman, I was like, are we kidding? That's her design? It didn't catch my attention at all. Fishbowl Catwoman head thing is not cool to me. I don't care. But I've heard a lot of people like that Absolute Batman, and a lot of people like that Catwoman. So, have you seen the new Wonder Woman McFarlane is coming out with? I think it's just a new head sculpt on the classic one. Yes. Okay, so it's like a late 80s, early 90s George Perez head, kind of. I would argue it's somewhere in that area. And the head looks good, as far as I could tell. Honestly, it does. It looks good. And it is the same body, different color to the Wonder Woman that we already had. The one, well, I say we. I never had it. I never got a chance to get it. But other people had. And so I do want it. I like the George Perez era. I enjoyed that Wonder Woman. It's probably the one that I read the most of and started kind of understanding what Wonder Woman was, for the most part. A beginning George Perez era, I guess, is the best way for me to put that. Because then later on, if I'm not mistaken, he's the one that like took her powers and she became like a secret agent and like kung fu and all this other stuff. But regardless, yeah, that's kind of where I read a lot of my early Wonder Woman and kind of got into the character and started discovering that I liked her a lot, and that she was one of those characters that got like no real attention. So I do kind of want that, but I've already come across an issue where, like, I'm seeing that people find it on their store shelves. I'm seeing pictures online where people are like, hey, she's already at Walmart. We've got her. I've got her, blah, blah, blah. And, like, I'm already seeing people, like, that are already showing off pictures that they have her and they've unboxed her. And, like, I went to, like, 5 Walmarts and I tried to look her up online, and I'm already seeing her on eBay for double her value, which scares the crap out of me and makes me wonder if we've already got the whole situation taking place, because I've heard that she was basically a shadow release shipped in limited quantities. And if that's true, she may end up just like the other Wonder Woman and skyrocket. And if that happens, then I'm just never going to get her, because I'm not going to. There's no way you're going to get me to do that. There's no way you're going to get me to do that, like, ever. Not at this stage. No way. We got some new tidbits and looks at Tombstone for Brand New Day, and Jean DeWolf is supposedly in it. Really? I did not know that. Of course, at this point, we're so close, I've kind of turned myself off to, like, looking at anything. Like, people are like, oh my God, check this out. We got that. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And I've kind of, like, avoided at this point looking anything up so that I can kind of be surprised, because I've already seen a lot in the previews. I'm sure they'll still surprise me at certain points. I am very curious if you're going to do the hand, though. Are we being very quiet that Daredevil is in the movie, but we're not showing him? Like, I'm very curious about that. Because we have the Punisher, and we have the Hand, and Spider-Man and the Hulk, and supposedly X-Men in certain levels. And if we're doing that, like, we're doing a lot. Is Daredevil too much? Because I feel like if we're doing the Hand, we really should have Daredevil involved. It's weird to put the Hand in a Marvel movie and not have Daredevil involved with the first actual, like, MCU Hand problem. Just feels weird to me. I'm wondering if he's already in, like, if he's in the movie and he would technically be in the trailer, but we've edited him out. You know what I'm wondering? Like, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I really don't. So we basically have a tie here. And because of that, I am going to open this. Now we're going to open a Motu. In fact, we're going to open... What is that? 2 Motu. Because that's what we're going to do. I think she's beautiful. I think she's exactly what I want her to be. She's just enough of the Lara Croft that I like. Lara Croft is complicated to me because she has gone through looks in my lifetime, and every one of them is viable to a different reason and a different era and works in different ways. My favorite design for Lara easily was the Legends era. That's when I liked her the most. My favorite games were the Survivor series. But I would be lying if I said I didn't take one look at the new Lara that we're about to get and said, that's her. That's her. I want that. And that seems to be what they're giving us for this new Lara. But this Lara is right on the heels of a debacle where they showed us some renders of a female character, then released that character. And what we are seeing in the images is not what we saw in the renders. And I've seen people defending it, like saying, well, maybe it's the lighting, maybe it's this, maybe it's the paint they used. Here's my problem. If all of that is true, why are we not seeing it with the male characters? Because we are seeing renders of the male characters. And then they're like, hey, this is the face we're going to use. It's pretty much going to look like this. It may vary. Then we get it, and it doesn't vary at all. Like, it is pretty much exactly, maybe minor paint differential, and that's it. It's exactly what you were promised. Why does that continually happen for the male figures? And it is not happening for the female figures. Why are the renders not matching? Why are they showing you renders and then making that, hey, look what it's going to look like. It's going to be fantastic. And you're like, oh, I need that. Then the figure comes out and you go, wait a minute, what? Because we're not doing that with Duke. We're not doing it with Dusty. We're not doing it with the Coyote. Like, we're not doing it with the guy that came with a boar or whatever. Like, we're not doing it with any of the Snake Eyes. They all look exactly like the renders, basically. Minor color variation. They cannot screw up this Lara Croft. If that is what I'm getting, they can't screw it up. I need it. I need it to be that. Exactly that. And just to tell you how serious I am about that Lara Croft in general, if it looks like that, I'm getting 2 of them. I'm getting 1 for the shelf and 1 to keep in a box in case the one on the shelf ever gets damaged. I have to have that Lara in good shape. I've only ever had 1 Lara on the shelf, and she's fine at best. I opened her. There's a video for her. She sits here because I don't know where else to put her. It's not that she's one of my favorites. She's not even meant to really be a desk figure. It's just that she stands over here with my Tila because she's pretty big, and like I don't 100% know what to do with her. Like, she doesn't fit anything over there. So she's kind of like stuck to be by herself, and she's not the best figure I've ever seen by a long shot. So, I mean, that's what she is. And there she is. And she's fine. At best. At the very best. This new Lara, especially because if she's like this, then she's going to mix with almost everything on the shelf. She will be 1/12. She will fit with Marvel Legends. She will fit with most of these guys up here. Back up. We're just talking about Lara. She will meld with, of course, the G.I. Joes. Like, she will go alongside a good portion of this, like, because she will be a smaller girl compared to a giant He-Man anyway, and things like that. And like, there's a million things that I can do with that Lara, picture-wise and whatnot, and it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. I need her to work. And I have wanted, and I'm not kidding about this, I have wanted a Lara Croft figure that is at that level that I am seeing since PlayStation 2 Legends. That Lara, I was like, I want that on my shelf. Like, I want a figure of that. Like, is there a figure of that? And every time I found one, I was like, oh, no way. No way, that's terrible. This is the first one that I've ever seen ever that when I saw the figure, I went, oh, they did it. They did it. I need that. I need that Lara. That Lara specifically absolutely speaks to me. I want that Lara. Without a doubt, no question. Did I hear about the Samurai Jack creator is going to make a Conan the Barbarian animated series? I did. I only have one concern here. When does it take place? So I have multiple concerns because that one just hit me. I've read the little storyline and it's fine. So we're on the Black Coast. So that's around the time that we're going. So we're going to see the Corsairs, and we're going to see the Tigress, and we're going to see Baylit and Conan. And it sounds like Baylit gets captured or something, and then he goes after her, which they did in the comics, and that's how he got the name Amra, because he fights and kills the Amra, and then that's how he also gets the Black Lion and things like that. So little things like that were done in the comic books. Are we kind of taking inspiration from that? Is that the era? Is that where we are? I don't know. I know we have to be in the Black Coast area of his story because he's basically a pirate at this point. The next thing that concerns me the littlest bit is I've seen a lot of pictures that are putting the Cartoon Network logo on it. Is that just because of the guy who's doing it? Like, is that why the Cartoon Network logo is there? Or is this somehow affiliated with Cartoon Network? And if so, need I be concerned about censorship? Because the Conan universe is a very specific way. And I'm curious, what will they let us get away with? But that's my only concern. Realistically, I think it's in good hands. I'm not overly worried. But I would be lying if I said that I had no concerns at all. So I guess we just really have to wait and see. At least with Mattel, we have a better chance to get the figures we want. Do we? Maybe. Maybe I'll let you have that. McFarlane has lower distribution. Mattel has much higher distribution. Mattel is a standard in the toy aisle. You could tell by things like this being more readily available. And it is DC, so they will more than likely overproduce it as compared to McFarlane, who's not as big of a company. So I'll give that to you. I actually, yeah, you could have a point there. You could be right on in terms of that. That actually does make sense. The logo I saw said Cartoon Network Studios, so I think it's their studios, not necessarily the channel. I think Primal had that too, and the show was brutal. I'd heard that. So, okay, that alleviates any of my real concern on that angle, because that's one of the only things that really had me worried. So, let's do this. He-Man, movie He-Man, Chronicles He-Man. Gotta open this He-Man, gotta do it. Cringer. I flipped it. I did it, okay? It wasn't the most graceful flip ever, but okay, I did it, and I did not hit myself in the face, and we did not drop it. Perfect flip, all right? We did it. There he is. Fantastic. Chronicles Battle Cat is the main thing I want to open here. I already know a lot about this. I've already kind of seen it. I've seen people posing it like crazy. It looks fantastic. I want it on my shelf. Here it is. That's great. What else do I want from the Chronicles line so far? While I love the movie, I really did. I honestly really enjoyed the movie. I'm not like going crazy about buying all the movie figures. I'm just not. I kind of want that He-Man. I got He-Man. I would like Skeletor. Do I want movie Tila? I don't know. I'm a little iffy on that. I do want that Orko, though. I definitely wanted this. And I've heard, and even seen some pictures, that they're doing Jim Bro Skeletor. That's dumb enough that I want it. And I want Office Skeletor as well. They got me on that one. They got me there. If they're going to give me that, I want that. But yeah. Otherwise, what I'm really wanting from Chronicles is I want to watch Chronicles branch out and take on the more traditional properties with these updated bodies, sculpts, and designs. That's what I'm mainly here for. I need to see them do a classic-esque He-Man with this body mold so that he can move and do all the things that I need him to do, and that'll be beautiful, and that's what I want. And I need a Tila that is a classic design that is good. Because while these get the pass, they're classic toys, built to be classic toys. So when Tila is a decent Tila, Tila's a good Tila. We leave it alone, it's not a big deal. When Masterverse did Tila, they did one that was pretty solid. But it wasn't what I wanted. I wanted a classic variant Tila. We got it, but we got it too late in the line. Both of them, by the way. And they are both set to the same level of disappointment because they walked the line backwards and they took away our bicep swivel and gave them 90-degree elbows and still do not give them slashing hands, which are desperately needed if you're going to steal the elbow articulation and the bicep swivel. If you're going to remove that level of articulation and take it back to a 90s figure, then I at the very least need the sword to go up and down. But I didn't get that. So both of the Tilas, they were fine, but they were disappointments. But now I'm seeing the Chronicles line gives me a slight worry. Because I've already seen that the Tila they're about to release, the movie Tila, is doing the Marvel Legends game. He got all this articulation, all this movement, and all this flair. So did Skeletor. So did Man-at-Arms. So did Triclops. Tila's built like a Marvel Legends female figure. Her mid-torso doesn't move. She's lacking areas of articulation. She wasn't given the same amount of care. And I've said it before a million times. You want to see the quality of a line? Look at the female figures. Because those are the ones that are going to walk backwards. If the female figure is unreal, if that is really, really, really good, then you're in for a show. Because they're willing to show you that the thing they think won't even sell that high is still getting attention. Which is why I'm very excited for that line of figures right there. Because those Conans and those... Bayleet looks great. Conan looks great. Conan looks great. Yag Kosha looks great. And the Red Sonja they did is very, very good as well. She has grown on me with every single time that I have posed her or messed around with her. She seems to have gotten better and better and better as I've spent time with her, making me actually want the gold one. Although I don't need the gold one, but also I kind of do because I'm a putz, because that's Conan the Barbarian, and that's the thing that I like, and so I'm kind of at this problematic area. I would already have her if it wasn't for the fact that I was spending so much on dentistry right now. But I am, so until all of that is done, until they've put a cap, because they've done it. I've had 2 surgeries where they've put the tooth back together. They drilled in, pulled a bunch of stuff out, put the tooth back together, resealed it, and now I've got to go in for a third thing where they're gonna put caps in. And then when they do the caps, then they're going to go in and they're going to do the crown and everything. And then once all this is done and I'm done paying for all of this, I will probably get it. If it's even available. Here's hoping. Cross our fingers. But because the Chronicles line is doing that, it worries me about certain things. And if they were to do another Tila, classic design, would I still be disappointed? Because as of yet, there has not been a standout classic design Tila. Not one. And I stick to that. I'm 100%. I'm telling you, there has not been. There has been one coming out very soon, but it's a 2000X version. And it's not the same thing. So, and why everybody calls it 2000X, I've already argued that before. I don't know why that term is used specifically, but since they use it all the time, I will use it. So there's little argument as to which one I am talking about. Because the Mondo one that they're doing right now, she looks fantastic. But she's not the one that I want. You can see my dilemma here. These guys, though. The guys are exactly what I want. Let's open them. All right, let's start with He-Man. Oh, wow. Okay. I already feel it. Like, that's kind of impressive. I get why people are able to do what they're able to do with him now. Like, that's looking down, that's looking up, even with his hair. That's not perfect, but he can look up. He's got good mid-level movement. Like, look at all of that. His arms, those butterflies, they don't feel like they would do all that much, but they really do allow him to, like, get in here. Yeah. He can actually touch his own hands here, and then, like, all of this movement and everything. Nothing feels like it's in his way is what's really impressive. Like, that looks like he can like jump, and he'll be able to do all these different things, and he can side kick, and like, I'm impressed. I don't need to spend too much time on him, but like, I could argue the littlest bit that the butterflies should be slightly deeper. I could. That being said, however, even if you made the butterflies that much deeper, I don't know that you'd get that much. I mean, it's done really good. It didn't take me long, like literally just holding and taking them out of the box that one time. Because I've seen a lot where people are like posing this and they're like buying this figure to reuse and make their own barbarians, and that's impressive when you're a toy line like this and you're releasing figures and people like this body so much that they're buying multiple He-Man just to pop the head off and make their own barbarians. You've done something right. Which is, again, the reason why I really worry about what I'm seeing with them, with the two females of the line already, because this is good. At the price point that this exists in, it feels good too, that's like really something. One could argue, like I said, that the butterflies could be a little more extensive, but I don't think that I'm mad about this guy at all. It's pretty impressive. It definitely beats the Masterverse articulation scale. And I liked Masterverse. I knew what it was. I wasn't oblivious to the fact that it had its problems, but it seems like they knew 100% and they were aware of it. Now, little wondering about the hand here. He comes with two tiny punch hands. Okay, look, we have to know, right? This is the sword hand. Can you hold that sword? You can. His wrist points the sword up. He can look to the sky, hold the sword up. He can bring the sword down. He can put one hand out. He can do these type of things. Like, he can bring the sword in. I'm impressed. That's really good. Can you bring this arm back to double grip the blade? You can. He can hold the sword. I'm not forcing it right now, but like, I have more than enough give. I'm showing you right there. I'm just not trying to push the blade in. I have more than enough give that I can even get away with actually having him hold the sword. Like, because that's an interesting argument. We have a lot of barbarians in the $100 range that can't do this. That is a very regular, seen in a million movies, a million books, sword stance. And they can't do it. He can do it. This guy's impressive. Like right off the bat, that's a good figure. I like the way that they're doing the joints and everything like that. I'll be interested to see as this line goes. I I need Chronicles to handle some of the more traditional classic designs so that I can see exactly what we're in for here. And I'm also going to have to go to the Dollar Tree because I'm going to need a new tote. Because I don't want to mix their parts with Masterverse because the hands and everything are different. And the bodies and the swap and the armors and everything, they're a different size. So I'm gonna have to do that now. I'm gonna have no choice but to go and check that out and buy a new tote. Because I have totes that are like for hands and totes that are for weapons and totes that are for like just barbarians, totes that are for certain lines. This is a big box. This is probably what I'll do. Until I go buy the tote, which might be tomorrow, I'll just use this box, make sure that stuff goes in it or whatever. Because it's got the window and everything. Nothing's in the way. It's not like, yeah. Here, give me your hands. There, your hands go in there for right now. We're going to put that to the side and remember not to throw it away. And that'll be great. Let's open Battle Cat. All right. Oh, man. Okay, this is interesting. I expected this to be mostly about the same. I think he's a little smaller, but I am feeling something that's kind of wild to me. This is hard to explain, but I'm noticing in the legs, it almost feels like the plastic is better. Like it really does. Like I'm having less trouble with the feet. But here's Battle Cat. The coolest thing about him is that they learned from the Panther release and they gave him those glass eyes and they look at you. They actually follow you. I think the camera's getting that too. That is really, really sick. This is more based on the original Battle Cat. I know it's based on the movie Battle Cat, which is fine, but since we barely saw this in the movie, this is really cool. I like the eyes. I like the fact that they learned from the jaw. It has those push-in teeth here, which is exactly what they did with the Panther. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, I have the Panther chapter. You could look that up because I opened him and I was very impressed with him. And I thought the glass eyes were fantastic and everything. We have a level of like the sculpt that goes down under and over. It goes over the armor. That is not something that I was expecting. That's kind of wild. Comparatively, I mean, he's a big boy, but I still think, and it would make sense, I think he's a bigger boy. Not that you'll notice it. No, well, you'll notice it. Never mind. He can almost hide behind the other battle cat. It's not terrible. And it makes sense for the scale. Okay, this guy is big, and he's meant to be. I love that battle cat. I really do. I've done videos on it. I think that it's one of the best things that we got in the Masterverse line. I'm curious about this armor. I mean, look, so the armor goes on there, and it looks fine. Okay. That's satisfying enough. I'm not... You have to pull it off. It feels very loose. It's hard to explain but like I put it on, and like my hand wants to like push it on. It feels like it's not on there. Like, but then it doesn't come off. So like it is on there, but like it feels loose, man. And it feels like it's very easy to manipulate and move around, which bothers me a bit and makes me feel like it's going to fall off his head. But then it doesn't. And like, that's wild to me. And okay, I'm not mad about it. But this is very much like the original Battle Cat. It just looks like a giant green tiger underneath. It doesn't look like Cringer. One of the things that we got that was kind of neat was that when you took this off in the Masterverse, it looked like Cringer, okay? And it was too big for Cringer, but if you do your pictures right and everything, it didn't really matter. I got multiple pictures of him because he can kind of crouch down and look timid, and then it makes him look like Cringer, and he can stand around the other figures. And he's still really big, but he's a big Cringer, and it works when the armor is off. When this guy's armor is off, he doesn't look like Cringer necessarily. Sure, the movie, it was just a green tiger, so this works perfectly because that's what the movie did with him. But like, that is more in line with the original Battle Cat. The original Battle Cat was very much, when you took the armor off, it was just a big green cat and was not actually Cringer. That we didn't get a Cringer specific figure, and I said figure, by the way, because I know what somebody's going to say out there. We didn't get a real Cringer figure until Origins, as far as I'm concerned. Because I know people are going to bring up classics. That does not count. I'm sorry. It does not count. Curb your nostalgia. That was a slug. It was a little statue at best. It does not count. Personally. This is a figure with action. That other one was not. One of the things that we'll get when we actually get this line into the more classic stuff, instead of it just being the movie stuff, one of the things we'll get that'll be really cool is we'll get things like the battle axe. Because like, this works, but I've always been a fan of He-Man on the cat with the battle axe. But this is fantastic. That's absolutely great. I'm going to absolutely love having that on the shelf. I'm probably going to take my extra battle cat off the shelf. I have like 4 of them. I never meant to have 4 of them, but I ended up with 4 of them. because I like one. I bought one as a normal, one as Cringer. One was part of a deal, and then the other one I won. So like I ended up with 4 Battle Cats, and I was like, what the crap? One of them's going to come off the shelf. Like, there's no point to that. And I need the space for the new Battle Cat. So, there's that. Current thoughts on Hulk 2099. Mine's coming in today. I hope you like it. That's what I got. I'm not a fan of 2099. I very much feel like when I was growing up, I had my fill of the 90s being hardcore thing, and they did 2099, and there's very little that I ever necessarily liked about it. I liked the Spider-Man 2099, and only at the beginning. Like, I read like the first like 15 books, and then like really just kind of got bored with it very fast. And always thought his look was really cool, but that was about it. And almost everything else that I ever read or bought or saw from 2099, I've pretty much not liked. And Hulk falls into that category. Like, I think I read like one book maybe. It did not catch my attention. I didn't like the way he looked. I just didn't care too much for it. So that's kind of where I am on the 2099 thing. But I do love that you're getting it, is the best way I can put it, because I like to see them expand these lines and go down where we haven't gone. And even when I look at a figure and go, that's not for me, the thing is, the more the line expands, the more it's for somebody. And I do think that that's actually important. I think it's nice to have all the different possible looks and designs of these figures and of these characters throughout the years. And if you are like a Hulk guy, that's part of the history. You should have that. So I think that's very cool. I don't think you should undersell anything. I don't think that you should ever go, sucks, stupid figure, because realistically, the idea that we expand Marvel Legends and other people get what they want keeps the line going and offers the possibility in the future that I will inevitably get the things that I want if we continue to expand the line all the time. So, yes, I do love the fact that it happened, but just don't have any connection to it myself. It very much frustrates me that the Marvel Legends teams are improving on some fronts, but it's slowly rolling out. They need to retire the old female bodies and upgrade to the new ones. I agree. 100%. It's time. Psylocke. And I'm calling her specifically. I realize that Black Widow was a big deal, and people really loved that figure, and I have no reason to say they shouldn't have, because she started this. When they released that super articulation Black Widow, everybody wanted her because they were like, holy crap, this is what Marvel Legends could be. But Psylocke is a line killer, and I'm dead serious about that when I say that. There are certain figures that when they release the whole line, everybody collecting turns around at the same time and goes, whoa, hold on. How come they're all not getting that level of attention? She's a line killer. She causes us to stop now at every single figure and go, oh, hold on a minute. Look, she got multiple heads. She got the best articulated body in the entire line. She got these eye effects. She got multiple, like, psionic swords, multiple hands. There's nothing pretty much that the figure did not get. You buy that Psylocke, you have the quintessential Psylocke. And the other reason it's pretty much a line killer, that Psylocke, and I mean this, is better than all the other big price Psylocks that I've seen. I'm serious. Now, here's the thing. My argument. I still believe this. I do all the time. Just because I prefer it doesn't mean that you will or you should. Art is subjective. These are little statues. Statue is sculpting. Sculpting is art. Hey, art is subjective. But I think you would be hard pressed to prove to me that the Mafex or Mafex or whatever is as good as that Psylocke. And a part of it is the price. Because, yes, they put her behind a paywall. You had to get both Thanos and her in order to get her. But I would argue that because of that, she comes out to being relatively a $30 figure, as opposed to a $90 or $160 figure or whatever ridiculous price they want to put on something. So if you're asking $80-something or more, or $90 or $100 for this new Psylocke that's coming out with the with the Marvel vs. Capcom Psylocke looking thing, I think it's Fig Arts that's coming out with it. No, I would much prefer that Psylocke that I have on my shelf. 100%. I think she looks better. I think she moves very, very well, if not basically perfect. And she already is only in the $30 category. So no, I'm not going to pay $90 to not even upgrade, I would argue. And then there's the Mafex. And they're like, hey, this is like $89, $130. I'm not buying that either. Like, not when there's a $30 option that is arguably better than. There's no way. She's a line killer, because now every single figure that is released in the Marvel Legends wave is causing us to go, and we just did it in this episode, why is she on the old body? Why is this not upgraded? Why are all of them not upgraded by this point? And every wave we are doing it. We are doing it every wave now. Every wave we get one that's on the new body, and we go, oh, fantastic. And then they go, oh, by the way, also this figure that you've waited almost a decade for. And we go, no, hold on. How come she's not the new sculpt? How come we're using the 10-year-old sculpt for something that we've waited almost a decade for? And then they go, well, you got to understand there's only so much that we can use the sculpt. So, like, we're getting one a wave, yada, yada, as we upgrade. Then no. Then just hold off. Don't put out the one that's on the old buck anymore. We'll wait. We've already waited a decade for said character. Just give us another year or something. We'll wait again. Like, what would be the difference at that point? Give us the upgrades. And when there's so many of them that need upgraded at this point. Like the fact that we have Spider-Gwens that cannot web swing. They can't take that pose. Unacceptable. And was never acceptable to begin with. It's a line killer. They need to update. That's not even an argument. Every single one of them needs to be updated. That we should not be getting the old buck anymore. I honestly hope they don't take too long to get that hill. Thoughts on the train wreck that was Marvel's new universe from the 80s. New universe. Is that a thing that's happened recently? Because I left single issue comics and left most of the current storylines behind, like we talked about it earlier in the episode. I just don't have that connection anymore. You're not talking about Heroes Reborn. That was the 90s anyway, right? Was that early 2000s? I can't remember. But that's not what you're talking about. You would have specifically said, I imagine. I don't know. I will attempt to find an answer, but I'll have to look it up, because I actually don't. Maybe I know exactly what you're talking about and don't realize it. I don't know. I'm not sure. But that's me. Today we had a big one. We opened Daredevil. We opened Magic. We opened Dark Knight Batman. We opened we went to an old Ninja Turtle from Playmates. We opened a He-Man, and we opened a Battle Cat. That is 7 figures. That's the most we have done in a while on this show. Stop following me, camera. Stop following me, camera. I kept saying that I was going to turn that off, but now like that's become a weird part of the show, and like I'm not getting rid of it now. I'm just going to fight with the camera until I die, I guess. This is what we're going to do. I'll look that up. I'm trying to remember if I saw that. Do I know that? Because something about it feels familiar, and then something about it doesn't. Did I see it in passing and not actually read any of it? I don't know. But that's me. That's what I got today. It's nearing 3 o'clock, so I've got to find a food. Yep, that's what I've got to do. Thanks for hanging out, and I will be back next Sunday, hopefully, if nothing interrupts. I don't know 100%. I never do. But hopefully I can get in here next Sunday and we can hang out some more. And I do plan to continue the editing process because we are catching up slowly but surely. I'm hoping by the end of the end of the year, we will be 100% current. Because now I'm not 6 months behind the edits. I'm only 4 months behind the edit. And that's, to be fair, that is a big jump. I'm going to get out of here.